Yes, people, and welcome back to Spurs Kings TV. It's your host, Ashmatic, alongside some regular faces. I'm going to bring straight to the stage Orin. How are you, my friend? How you
I'm
doing?
good. I'm
Nice.
good.
Good
Yeah.
to see you. Good to see you. Also, big up the chat people inside. If you're listening to this on audio as well, on Spotify on your way to work, on your way to the gym or wherever, big yourselves up, man. We're live and direct, and I will do my best to describe what's happening as I bring up some of these visuals. Also, I have another guest on tour, and he goes by the name of Dave, Coach Dave, of course. How you doing, my broski?
How you doing, bro? You good? Good to be
Yeah,
on with you. I know you've been asking a few times, but we finally made it happen, man.
yeah, we made it. Yeah, man. Listen, big
Made
up
it.
to Brian Lamar on the chat as well. Big up Tom. I appreciate you guys in there, and Eugene, man. I see you, man, every time, each and
Yeah.
every time, man.
Yeah.
Look, we're gonna get straight into it because there's a lot of debate at the moment, and on this show we always get into it. Um, whether you're Ange in or Ange out, are you Ange maybe? You know what I'm saying? Are you Ange? I don't know if this is working. Is it the players? Because we've gone through it, man. We've gone through like 18 months, and we're not sure if these players understand the system yet. I don't know what to say, man. Like, but yeah, man, I just want to get your thoughts. I'll be real. I'll be honest with you. I didn't really, in fact, I didn't watch the game at all. When it comes to Roma, I didn't watch it. I'll be real. Am I a bad host, guys? Am I bad for not watching Roma? Was that? Did, am I being put through so much pain that I'm like,
No, you gotta endure. You gotta watch. You gotta
uh,
watch. Like,
But no. On a roll. All jokes aside, I actually did watch the Fulham game. I bought myself to watch that. And Dave, I want to come to you first because normally I have Oren on there. But Dave, um, how are your feelings at the moment with this whole situation with Tottenham, with Ange? Like, where are you sitting at the moment? Like, how do you feel? Did you watch the game first of all?
Which one? The Fulham or the Roma? Which one you asking about?
Fulham. Did you watch the Fulham game?
Not live, but I have watched it since. I caught up.
No,
Mainly because I
I don't
know.
want to hear that. I don't want to hear the why. Why? I'm just.
No. Because
That's
no,
as bad as
but
me.
the why is important. No, the why is important. The why, because also the why includes why I didn't watch it the first time.
Okay, go for it.
Because it is partly because it's not necessarily Ange in or Ange out, it's Ange sort it out. And I think for me, it's a case of we know what to expect these days, don't we? You know, we know that this team under pressure can not necessarily even just under pressure, but just in it's going to be inconsistent. It's going to be inconsistent. Um, they're probably less likely to put a run together. Um, And so yeah, we had a brilliant result at City 10 days ago, whatever it was. But the Roma game, which I didn't watch, I didn't watch Roma, and I haven't actually seen any of it. But I had the notifications coming through, and I saw the chat. Obviously, Ashley and I were in the chat, whatever. And I'm asking every so often, guys, what we saying? What we saying? What we saying? And I'm hearing, after all these years, Daniel Levy finally got to see Dybala playing at Spurs and putting on a show for the ages, you know. you know.
he was substituted at
And
half
I'm like,
time.
in 2024, of all these, but those kind of things can kind of put you off, and it kind of made sure I didn't really rush to watch the Fulham game. But knowing that I had media duties this week, meant that I had to make sure I got up on it to make sure I knew what was going on. But listen, because we know that this team is in transition, good, bad, and ugly, there is a lot. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we are inching closer to another transfer window. We're inching closer to hopefully another good result, but we could be inching closer to another really embarrassing result. And we've got year 7 kids up in in the Midlands celebrating the FA Cup draw, singing Tottenham get battered, anticipating a giant killing in January. That's the state of our club at the moment. So it's not a good time. It's not a good time.
Mad thing, sad thing. Listen, I'm gonna bring Orange straight in and big up a user for the super chat. That's what I'm talking about, Straight away, guys. If you listen to the audio, super chats come in. Big up a user each and every time. We do appreciate all contributions, of course, to this channel. It goes towards a good cause. But listen, people say players are tired. They're tired of the range ball. And I'm gonna come to Oren on this one. What are you telling me? Because you are the man that said it's not Angie Ball. It's not. They're not getting the Angie Ball. They're not playing Angie Ball, and the reason why they're not playing Angie Ball is because they're not getting Angie Ball. But if they've been playing for 18 months under this management, should they not understand the way on which the manager wants to play? But answer that question. People saying they're tired. Are they tired of the manager and his tactics?
No. I watched the Roma game, watched the Fulham game. Like, I will watch every single Spurs game if I can. If I can. Like, I've even cancelled some events just to watch Spurs games. And like this whole Angie ball, like, let's I want to address that, me personally, because when Conte was there, was Conte ball. Then when Jose was there, it was Jose ball. It's just a name, right? It's just a name given to the manager. It's like, oh, Angie ball. The players right now, like the whole squad is, basically injuries and everything. And these players are giving their all. And they're now playing on Thursdays as well. And that's like what Angie's been saying as well. It's like these players are giving their all. It is tough. But yet, for some reason, Spurs fans expect them to win every single game. And I've been having a discussion like online, and I'm like, it's a game of two teams. For some reason, when fans today watch football, they forget there's another team that are also trying to beat Spurs, that are also trying to break them down and score. That's what it's going to be about. It's a game of chess. And so, like, against Roma, Spurs, if they took the chances, would have won that game comfortably. Roma, though, again in the Europa League, it's like Archie Gray was playing at left back. I think Burville was playing as well. It's a mixture of young players. And then again with Fulham, the centre backs, goalkeeper, to get a draw. I just think that everything is over exaggerated. Spurs fans do tend to like over exaggerate and be really dramatic about it. But it's in reality, if you look at the situation, is that this time last year, Spurs were. I mean, where were Spurs this time last year? I think Madison was injured, Van de Ven was injured, and a couple other players were injured, and that slide began. And it'll be interesting to look at. I mean, I haven't. Someone can look in the chat or go on Google or something, but it'll be interesting to see at this stage last season where were Spurs compared to now. And if you think about it, it's like you have Vicario out, Romero out, and Van de Ven out. That's a back three out, but Spurs have replacements. I just think like when it comes to Spurs and the fans saying Angie out and everything else, these are the same fans who were saying at the start of the last season that Spurs need to give the manager time. Look at what Arsenal did with Arteta. They gave him time. You can't just be swapping, changing, and sacking managers. Now, the same fans are now saying he needs to go. So it's so bizarre to me. It's like, what do you want? So like, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I guess it's just I'm just a very logical guy when it comes to,
Okay.
to looking at it. Yeah.
F18 says injuries are just excuses.
Okay.
Why don't you talk about full team and we lost to Brighton and Palace? And just on that, Brighton we lost to, Palace we lost to, but we also lost to Ipswich as well. We drew obviously to
Newcastle.
Newcastle, but now recently we drew to Fulham this last game, and we also just drew to Roma. And on top of that, I think people were worried about that Galatasaray result where we lost. And the thing is, when you look at the players that played on the Thursday compared to the players that played on Sunday, Basuma is like a first teamer, and he wasn't playing. It was Bentancur that was playing on the actual Sunday. Then you look at players like uh, the wingers, for example. Son obviously played against Roma, but then he came off within like 55, 60 minutes. So we can't really say he's going to be fatigued and he's going to be tired. A doggy also, he was rested. So he had a fair amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the players that have come in, they're a part of our first team. You call that team a strong team that we put up against Fulham. And Madison was in that midfield, Saab was in that midfield, Basuma was in that midfield. Madison was rested as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fair to say that we should be beating a Fulham team that lost 4-1 against Wolverhampton? I'm gonna just bring it. I'm gonna come back to you, Oren. I want Dave to answer that one.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts, Dave?
What about? What is it fair that we should
The
be
person
beating?
asking about
Fulham,
is injury is just an excuse because actually, when you look at
Yeah,
it,
yeah, because I think another comment in the chat, Tony said that when we had injuries against Man City, no one cared and we beat them 4-0. Listen, for me, injuries are not. There's never been a game that I look at that we feel like we're comfortable in. You watch that Fulham game and it's just pinball. It's not sustainable. It's probably why we get so many injuries, because all these players do is run 100 miles per hour in one direction and run 100 miles per hour in the other direction.
so
There's
isn't
no
that on the
control.
manager then? Sorry to stop you. Isn't that
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
it
manager?
is. This is why I said at the beginning, and sort it out. Because in my estimation, I'm looking at it and I'm going, like, you need to find a way to get the best style of play, pattern of play, that you can sustain attacks, you can sustain control, um, enhance the strengths of the players in the team. There are some strengths, there are some good players in this team, there's some great players in this team, great talents in the squad, and also limit their weaknesses. Watching the Fulham game, how many times have we got players like Dragosin and Ben Davies having to defend whilst running backwards? That doesn't suit them. And yes, we only conceded one, but that's not smart. How many times do we have, the ball going in over to the flanks, attacking our back post? We know that Pedro Porro is weak on the back post. Pedro Porro was cooked from the Roma game, from what I'm hearing. And 4 days later, instead of playing Jed Spence, who's fresh off his couch and can give you some valuable minutes, give you some valuable energy, you're playing the same guy and running them into the ground. He looked like he was running through treacle against a team, right, who have not only just tricky, not necessarily tricky attackers. They've got obviously Trial on the bench or whatever, but let's say they've got Nelson, they've got Smith Rowe, they've got Iwobi on the pitch. Do you know what all three of those players have in common? They all hate Spurs. What's the one thing they're all going to want to do? Probably attack the weak spot in the Spurs team. Okay, and we all know why they hate Spurs. Like, we've just got to be smart about it, and
So
that's what I think is. He just doesn't go into these games with any sort of smarts, apart from when it's Man City. Man City is when we see him pull out. He goes from page 1 to page 12 of his manager's book and goes, "Oh, I found something else, guys."
So, Oren, what's your response to that? Because I think what Coach Dave is saying, like they identified our weaknesses in game. Would you expect Ange to actually say, "All right, cool, they keep attacking our flanks. Maybe I need to add a bit more width to the team." So sometimes you'll see a team set up, for example, quite narrow. And the reason why you might see them set up narrow is to create passing triangles, if that makes sense. But when there's a lot of width and you're getting attacked by down the flanks, you kind of stretch your team and you expand the players a bit wider to cover up those areas. Why do you think Ange is not going like in game? Because from the narrative is at the moment, I don't know if you agree with this, but when things are happening, you saw Marco Silva giving instructions on the side, clear communication, telling players, you know, XYZ, you know, I want you to do this, do that to combat what we're doing. Because, you know, game state, I say game state, but game management and how the game's going in different periods is a real thing. You obviously tactically set up during the week, but then things actually happen during the game and you have to actually tweak along the way. Why is it that our manager's got his hands almost in his pockets and he looks ponderous and he's not able to make those adjustments during games?
Don't know. It's like
Got him.
I'm not Angie. It's just like
End the show. I'm joking.
Yeah, it's
No. Because to be fair, you were saying Ange gives responsibility to the players, and he wants the players to kind of like be leaders on the pitch, manage themselves. Obviously, like they're all grown men. You know, some of them are younger than others. Like you say, what Pape Sarr, you say Doggy, they're the youngest players on the pitch. If you're looking at it against Fulham individually, but the rest of them, Madison, 27 or just turned 28. Basuma, 28 again. So both of those two midfielders are senior, grown. You've got Dragoson's quite young, so you could say maybe him, 21, 22. But then you've got Ben Davies, he's a senior figure, and you've got the goalkeeper in Forster. He's very senior, 37 or 38. Then you've got obviously Porro's not young, he's 24, 25. And then you've got Werner, who's quite senior, and Son is senior as well. Johnson, he's a young man, but you wouldn't say he's a youngster like that. Do you know what I mean? So these players, senior figures, we can't say this, you know, it's a young team that Ange, you know, needs to kind of govern. But you look at Marco Silva, equally, I could argue the same. He's got senior figures on his pitch. Do you know what I mean? But he's still taking command because I think as a leader, yes, you have leaders on the pitch, but then you kind of want your coach to be proactive, no, at times? Or where's your thoughts?
Well, I think Angie does shout. He's just not very dramatic about it. You know, what fans are referring to what Silva did. That was when the red card happened, I think. And basically, goalkeeper went down and he started doing that. And we remember Conte did that at the start, you know, and we are all excited. And then basically we all saw what happened. Angie's not that kind of manager. I think maybe it's you know, it's really weird because I think like a lot of fans, what it seems they're doing is like looking at another manager and going, he's doing that, why aren't you doing that? But Angie's not that manager. He's someone who stands, and every time he gives you know, talks to the press after the match, he's hoarse. You can tell he's clearing his throat. And Alistair Gold, like I listen to him because he's often at Spurs games, and he says Angie shouts. He's always shouting, but he's not, you know, all over the place. We're watching on TV, so therefore the TV's only going to show Angie when Spurs concede, or he's just standing there thinking for like a couple of seconds. And basically, what that summarizes, the fans go, "Well, that's what he's doing the whole game." He doesn't do that. He's talking, he's shouting, but there's only so much shouting you can do, you know. But yeah, it's like again, it's what Angie, it's who he is, and it's a case of it's up. I think it's more the question I think that has to be asked is up to the Spurs fans. Do you want another? Do you want to believe in this or not? That's the question. Like, are you willing to put aside your issues with Daniel Levy and Enoch and all that, and you want to go right? Let's just enjoy this manager. Whatever happens, let's just enjoy Spurs and football. I don't know if that's possible anymore because fans get so emotional.
Do you know what it is, bro? Like, I'll be real. I think what it is with the fans at the moment, there's one thing for like poor results, because results go up and down. Do you know what I mean? But I think sustainability in performances is actually important to give fans belief and hope that things are on the right track, if that makes sense. And I feel like that Fulham game, especially, I feel like what Dave was saying was they lacked control. It was almost like ping pong, basketball, up and down. And that's what made fans feel very vulnerable. In the stadium, from what I could hear, it sounded very flat. Now, I'm going to bring you back in, Dave, because you actually go to games and you're there to see Ange in action. So you'll be able to verify if Ange is that kind of shouty kind of person when the cameras are not on him, or if he is actually how, because a lot of fans do go to games. So it's not like they're making it out of thin air. They will actually see if Ange is doing something. I think one of the guys, I think it was Johnny, big up to Johnny, filmed Ange, and then he flipped it over to Marco Silva, and you could see the blatant difference between the two. And this is during game. Do you know what I mean? It's not like the first time, because it was ironic, because it was like the Roma game. They panned into him when he was shouting. I was like, oh, hang on, he's shouting. Why is he shouting for? Like, he doesn't normally shout. Is he getting pressured from like people saying that he doesn't shout enough or communicate? Is he reacting towards that? Like, do you know what I mean? But like from your angle, Dave, is from when you go to the stadium, is he? Do you reckon, like tactically, is he getting involved? Even down to the coaches, like the coaches behind him. Is he having a word with the coaches, getting on the iPad, looking at statistics, getting on a word to like? Because at one point, I think Yandelek last season was in the stands, and he would look with Johan Lang, and they would spot out things, and they would communicate to the staff on the floor, and give communication. Now he's down on the floor, so the whole technical team's on the floor. Do you see things where they wrap it up and like they, or does he look like a lonely figure, like standing out there? Does he, or like how do you see it, bro? And then also, if you can answer this question from a user, big up a user once again with another super chat. And I want to read it out. It says, another question. Ange himself said Bergvall and Gray have impressed so much. We will not require a seasoned midfielder, yet they limit it to game time. Far away, bro.
Yeah, it depends really. I think he's quite, not, I don't want to say isolated. He stands almost in the same spot, doesn't he? He's not really a mover. But I also think it's down to personality, and I think we shouldn't be quick to judge. It's not necessarily about shouting; it's about communicating. Can you communicate well? Because many of the shouty coaches are also coaches who get sacked every 18 months to 2 years. So you're obviously not doing a great job, Marco Silva. So let's be guided. So it's about effective communication. And I think there is an element where I think he does communicate well to the players, but also when he does lose his rag and he's shouting, it makes it more pronounced. And I think there is that shock factor that you really have screwed up if Ange is screaming at you, get in position. Remember the Chelsea game last year when they beat us, I think 2-0 or something like that. And they were on a really, really bad run, but obviously it didn't matter because they played Tottenham. And it was, so obviously we lost to them, when we went down to 9 men. But this was the reverse fixture, so it was at their place. And Positional's still there, I think. And again, we lose, and the whole clip surfaces of him, screaming at him, stop going forward, stop going backwards, stop passing backwards, stop passing backwards. And I think it was Sarr and some of the defenders who was getting at. So he does have that, in his arsenal, as it were, to really go at the players, but I don't think he wants to rely on that. He wants them to go and do it himself. I don't think he has enough characters on the pitch to trust to do that in the right areas of the pitch. You would love out of your centre backs to have one really, really commanding centre back to be able to do that. But the one we do seems to want to play part time for us and full time for his country. So here we are. And then the other one has, is always making recovery runs, so he barely has any breath in his lungs to shout anyway. So I think it's a very interesting dynamic, in some of the key areas. And then we've got Vicario, who shouts at everyone. But then, when we're 2-1 up against City in the cup, he's shouting at everyone for the whole game. 2-1 up against City in the cup. Last minute, cross comes in and he decides to go for a walkabout. And everyone's looking at him like, well, you were just shouting at me. What's going on through your head? Do you know what I mean? Flapping at crosses and that. So it's a weird bunch of players from a mentality standpoint and an experience standpoint. But on this note about Boga and Gray, obviously, Ash, you know my standpoint on both players. I rate them very, very highly. I think at the moment, I think Boga needs a loan because he's a player that needs to play. Whereas Gray, I think you can sign and stash to a certain extent. Just because of the profile and the where they play on the pitch, Boga needs touches. He's a very high volume footballer. Watching him at Garden over the past 6 months after we signed him, yes, people actually did watch him at Garden. I battled my way through VPNs to watch him, and just watching the way his style of play, everything went through him. All the traffic went through him. He was their hub, and like I said, high volume and touches.
Oh wait, who do you wait? Stop, sorry to stop you, but who would you say then, if all the volume's going through him, between him and Archie Gray, who's more of the player that kind of would kind of be that midfielder that things go through then? Because it sounds like he's a controller almost in Bergvall. If everything goes through him,
Archie Gray. No, because he with them they played a 4-2-3-1.
Okay, so you would see him what in?
So he played more like a 10. He played more like a 10, or if he was an 8, it was very much it was more like an Odegaard. He played for them, but just on the left hand side as opposed to the right hand side.
Because I saw him as, at first I thought it was competition for Madison, then actually I thought, hey, wait a minute, maybe it's competition for Sarr because he's quite physical. He's quite like in the tackle. He's got a bite in him, so he's more of an 8 than he is a 10. And I'm actually Odegaard is quite defensive. He leads the defense attack and he pulls into wide areas, a bit like Sarr does. Sarr pulls into wide areas, good on the ball. No, not well.
Yeah. And listen, that will come over time, but I think at this present moment, because he hasn't played that much and because it just hasn't quite worked out yet, I think in January, I would say 6 months go for a loan and then be back for next September. Whereas with Archie Gray, I would be saying you need to be playing in the middle of the park. Forget right back, forget left back, play in the middle of the park.
What is he physical enough? And then also, all right, cool, Bergvall's not ready then yet. So is that a mistake by Ange?
It's not about not being ready. It's not about not being ready. It's not about not being. See, people always say this. It's not about not being ready. It's about the state of play. It's about the fact we are now in a position, right, where we're 6th, okay, or wherever we are in the table. We don't have any consistency. Okay, we're going to the back end of the season. We're going to need to be in this. We haven't managed him well enough over the past 3-4 months, and he needs a more higher volume of touches in a squad which doesn't have the requisite luxuries to be able to put him to the next level. So that's why we have to send him out on loan.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So his talent level might be there, but if it's like if you buy a certain player and you need to put certain things around him for it to click, or certain structures, like he needs a better defensive structure. You cannot have him in a game that open. It doesn't matter how good he is. You cannot have him in a team that plays that open.
So Archie Gray needs more protection than in a system. He needs
Archie Gray is fine. I think Archie Gray would be better. Archie Gray is more suited because Archie Gray actually coming up through the English game, and also I think Archie Gray has more of a defensive mind. Archie Gray, having played in the fullback positions for us, has now, and this is why I said it's perfect to play him in, and this is why it's been good for his development. Every central midfielder, every central defensive midfielder has to have experience playing in wide areas 1v1. Okay, Archie Gray has been cooked and sauteed out in wide areas over the past 3-4 months, and it has been brilliant for his development. Okay, he got absolutely slaughtered by Savinho. He didn't have a great time in the Galatasaray game, from what I remember. There's been a few European games where he's.
Yo, you still there? All right, Oren, I'm going to come to you, yeah, as he
Mhm.
finds his voice again. I don't know where he's gone. But yeah, I just want to ask you quickly on the actual game again, just on the start of the game, the actual lineup. What is your opinion of Son being in that number 9 specifically? And do you think it was wrong for Ange to start in there? Do you think Lancashire would have been better suited as he is a centre forward and he scored against
No,
Galatasaray? Do you think maybe is there a physicality issue where when Son's playing in that number 9 where he can't really lead the line in the same way as a Dominic Solanke, even though he came down with a cold virus? What would you have done? Uh, yeah, what's your thoughts on that starting lineup?
done the same thing, or yeah, I pretty much done the same thing. It's kind of it was a quick scenario plan B with Solanke being, I think it was like an hour before he came in with a virus, and it was like, no, he's not fit to play, so they had to make a change. Yeah, of course, Son's not going to hold the ball up, but what he does offer is pace and he pressing, and of course that upset the whole team, the foundation of the team, because obviously if you're preparing all week with Dominic Solanke and then he has a virus, that changes everything. Um, Watching the Fulham game, yeah, I guess like it wasn't, you know, the way I look at it is like Spurs again, and if even the Roma goal, the second goal for Roma, Spurs dropped deep. That's what a lot of things aren't being picked up on. Spurs were actually deep again. So this whole narrative is like gung ho. It was only gung ho because Fulham was attacking, Spurs won the ball back and they pressed on, and then it was just that kind of way, up and down. But it wasn't kind of like, I think there's a big kind of like weirdness that it's just gung ho. Like it's certainly not gung ho. But yeah, Song did what he could. Timo Warner did what he could. Johnson, and will Lancashire playing? No, like he's his development's still going. He wouldn't, yeah. No, just keep playing him in Europa
So
League.
you're basically saying the cards that Andrews dealt, that was the best thing for him to go forward and play
Yeah, yeah.
in that position. Well, okay, let me move on to the substitutions then, just to
Mhm.
fast forward. Do you think then, with those substitutions being thrown at him, he could have done those substitutions A earlier, or B, he could have done different substitutions, e.g., Porro? A lot of people aren't happy that
Yeah,
Porro continued. And do you put critique on Ange for that?
yeah. There is, because the way I sound might think that like I think Andrew's great. I don't think that at all. There is, I don't know what his issue with Spence is, but I believe that Spence should be starting either for Porro or Udogi. And because Angie said, if the player shows the right attitude, if they train hard, if they keep their head down, they'll get game time. They'll start playing. But
Mhm.
yet Spence has done all that. I mean, Spence was even left out the the Europa Cup, and he didn't fuss, didn't moan, kept his head down. I don't know what it is. It's between Angie and Spence, but for some reason, like I thought Perro should have came off for Spence. I was expecting it at halftime. Then when it didn't happen, I was like, right, well, okay, why not? But again, I don't know.
I think, I think I think that's the frustration for the fans, because if you're not going to change it tactically, like Dave was saying, in terms of like personnel,
Mhm.
if you change like a player that's been playing a whole 20, not 24 hours, sorry, a whole 90 minutes against
Yeah, yeah.
Roma, like you could see he was a bit leggy, and I'm thinking, yeah, he must see that as well. Big up Zeus that's joined the chat.
The one thing I can think of is Angie's thinking that maybe Porro has better end product and he can grab Spurs a goal or make a good cross. Maybe that's why he's playing him. Maybe we haven't. I think Spence is equally as capable as that. I'm just trying to be in the mind of Ange. Like, does he think that Porro is going to be a more experienced you know. But obviously he was tired, and I am scratching my head as well. It's
I
like, why
mean,
is he
wouldn't
not
you
playing
say that?
defense?
Like for me personally, I'm just gonna say it. I think if you've got a fullback that is a good ball
Mhm.
carrier, and I feel on that game we were lacking players that break lines. For example, Basuma is a player that has lost confidence, and he's no longer able to get on the ball and turn and drive up the pitch like he used to. Saar wasn't doing it in that particular game where he's just able to carry the ball up and alleviate pressure. Doggy, he did it not many times.
Mhm.
I could probably count on a number of times on my hand that he did it. And then Porro, that was non-existent. Johnson, as fast as he is, he's just not a ball carrier like that.
No,
And that is a massive weapon that he's underutilizing, in my opinion. If you're going to be a winger, yes, it's good that you're scoring goals, but when your team needs you to relieve pressure, it would be good to have a player that can carry the ball. And that's why my frustration as a fan, why not bring Spence on, who is a good ball carrier that can get? We saw what he did against Coventry. Why not? We could use that, take Porro off, and that would see that you're trying to change and address certain things in those wider areas where we were getting killed. And let's face it, if Porro is tired and knackered from Roma, he's not going to have the endurance to get back and help fill out those positions for those back two. Because Ben Davies and Drangusin, in my opinion, they're not the fastest of centre backs. In fact, they lack in pace in certain areas. Do you know what I mean? To cover ground, especially when it comes to like I call it lateral movement. They're not the quickest. If it's a straight line, they might be able to get back, but players taking them left and right, they might not have the same amount of mobility. I'm going to bring Zeus into it as well. And big up Zeus, man. How you doing? First of all, you
Good,
good?
I'm good, good. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I wanted you back on the show. I wanted you on the show, man. It's your first time, and I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
know, like, we spoke about it yesterday briefly, but the, you said you're still Anjin, you're Ange all the way. But is there a point when you're like, hmm, this needs to change, or you're an Ange a bit of doubt? For example, when we play Bournemouth, if Bournemouth come and we have a similar performance to what we saw against maybe less of a Roma, but more of a Fulham. Do you know what I mean? And you know, Areola completely does us down the flanks again. It- are you going to have that same enthusiasm as you had at the start of the season?
No, I mean, not the same enthusiasm. Like I've stopped watching the games pretty much.
Why have you stopped watching the games? Why have you stopped watching the games?
Ipswich, man, Ipswich broke me. It like it
But
was
what?
like
What? Why did it break you? Why was it? Was it that the thing that you thought
so. I
there's
think
nothing you can, nothing more that Ange can do to take it up another level? You didn't think it was a one-off, or
there's been too many one-offs, right? So, um, Brighton happened. I was like, okay. First game of the season, Leicester 1-1. First game of the season. I was like, all right, that can happen. Then Newcastle, okay, good team, I guess. But Palace happened, and I was like, okay, that can be a one-off. I'll give you that one. Brighton happened, and I was like, oof, okay, that's happened before. We're not the only team to like concede three in the second half. I mean, we've done that a bunch of times against like West Ham and them, and City lost. They conceded three in the second half as well. So I was like, okay, that can happen. Then we beat City 4-0, and I was like, okay, let's if we beat, we have to be a serious team, right? We can't just keep doing this like win one, lose one kind of thing. And we should beat Ipswich. And I've written a lot of them off, right? And then we lose. And I was like, oh, bang, I can't. So it's a kind of like for me to get reinvested and like how do I say schedule my weekends around the Spurs games, I need like my trust to be earned back. You know what I mean? Like 4, 5 in a row where it's like, okay, we're a legitimate
say
team, right?
4 or 5, or it's just not happening.
Yeah, like
So
4, 3 or 4,
we need to
maybe.
go on a run. We need to go on a run,
We need to
basically,
go on a
before
run,
you
right?
can
For
be
it to be
content.
like this is must
Do
see
you think we
TV.
can go on a run, though? Do you think we can go on a run where we just get like three, you said at least 3 games together?
I
'Cause
mean,
I think Spurs haven't gone on a run, if I've got it right, of 5 games since 2021.
yeah,
Um, so I
yeah,
mean, that's a long time, man. That's 4 years since we've done that.
yeah. But you
3 to 4 years.
like now we're like okay. You know what I mean? Like based on the results, we're an okay team. We need to be a good team. You know what I mean? Like we're like good. We're not good. You know, right now things are not terrible.
Mm.
Which is when, you know, let's say depending on the next. I think we did the blueprint with Digi yesterday. The next 4 games, we see how that goes. If we can bring in like I said, 4 points is what I'm expecting, which I think is par for the course. Right, Bournemouth is a good team, and we're playing Liverpool, Chelsea. Those are serious teams. But if it's less than that, then it's like okay, serious questions, and Levy will probably be like itching to pull the trigger. But like I said, I'm still hoping that league form is not paramount for me this season. I still think everything we should judge and based on how he's doing in the cups and the tournaments.
So
But,
you're saying basically, if we're like rubbish in the league, but we're doing all right in the cups, you're okay with that? You're
not
fine with that?
rubbish, but okay. So I'm when we play United, right? I'm gonna watch that game, right? But the league thing, I'm still like, you know what I mean? But if we say, for instance, Ange is like fully focused on the cups and winning the trophy, I think we can give him some like cut him some slack in the league, right? Maybe not like
But like,
eight.
this respond to what Hotspur Hood has just said, right? He said 18 months and 350 million pounds is more than enough for an improvement compared to what we saw of the back end of last season.
Wait,
Like
18. Sorry, John.
18 months and 350 million. Would you not expect to see something? Big up Deji in the background there.
Yeah, no. So 18 months includes the first 10 games of his reign, right? Where we're
Yeah.
26 out of 30. I mean, we're flying there, right? So it's not exactly 18 months, right? So first 10 games, then we had a whole whack of injuries, and season gets kind of derailed, the Chelsea game. But
Yeah,
the
the 10 games isn't 18 months. The 10 games isn't 18
it
months.
is, but I'm just saying, like, you can't use that as a negative against him, right? You can't say 18 months. Like, he was fantastic. So maybe it's more like 16 months or something like that, where things have been uneven. But there's a reason for that, right? Like, part of it was the injuries. We lost a ton of players. And then the tail end of last season, we played a lot of the big boys. I remember we played Chelsea, Liverpool, and someone else. And I don't think it's any shame to kind of lose against those guys.
But what
Now,
about this season? Yeah, go on. Sorry.
right, this season, things are they're not terrible. They're okay. And we're advancing in the cups. But if you look at everything from like you zoom out, right? We're 3 points from fourth place, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Like 3 points from fourth place. You're not gonna sack a manager for that. I don't think you should anyways. 3 points from fourth place. We're still in the cups. And you know, he's saying 300 million, 350 million spent. How much are our rivals spending within that time frame, right? Like I'm pretty sure they are. It's more or close or pretty close. It's not like we were the only team that spent during that window. So I mean, we're 3 points away from fourth. Where's Arthur when you need him, man? Like we had to chat with him yesterday. He just made me realize we're 3 points away from fourth place, and realistically, that's what we're competing for. So
No,
I want to.
go on.
Yeah, go on, Deji. Go on. Big up, man. Go on.
No, big up, and sorry for my late arrival, peeps. Look, I think we got to hold Tottenham if we want to see the full potential of our club. Then we need to start holding our team at really high standards. It's not good enough to be 3 points off top four at this stage when we should be second. What we should be saying is we should be 3 or 4 points off Liverpool if you really do the numbers correctly. And this is not wild stuff. I'm talking about winning against Brighton. And I'm talking about winning at home against Ipswich. And do you get what I'm saying? Do that. And Tottenham is up there and we're not having these conversations. What I do find that is unacceptable is the fact that we are losing to teams or dropping points to teams that we should be beating. And then we'll go and beat Villa. Then we'll go and beat City. Then we'll go and beat Chelsea. Then we'll go and beat Liverpool. And then we'll lose to Southampton and Bournemouth. That for me is the reason. That's why I can't accept 3 or 4 points off third. Because really and truly, if you did your job properly, we're saying 3 points
3 or 4 points ahead of Arsenal, 3 or 4 points ahead of Chelsea. And the squad, Postecoglou has shown that with those players, he can get the results. So we can't even say that the players are whack. That is a whack front three, and we've scored the most goals. It's rubbish. It's not scaring nobody. But we have the second best goal difference in the league. So that means there is enough tools at his disposal to do what is being expected. So no, I hear what Zeus is saying, and you can look at it like that. But actually, no, we need to demand more from him. If not, we could lose 15 games this season, like legit. And that for me is unacceptable.
Sorry, just to quit back at the whole standards thing. For me, at the beginning of the season, I said the mandate should be a trophy.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty high standard. We haven't won a trophy, is it 17 or 16 years, something like that?
Yeah.
Right? And I think if he can deliver that success, right? Like we've been to, the reason why I don't really care too much for where we finish in the league is we've been to Champions League, and we, apart from the 2019 Liverpool thing, we pretty much get tonked, right? It's not a great performance. Like we're out maybe at best quarterfinal, second round, that kind of thing. So it's like, let's not worry about that this time around. Let's worry about something else that we haven't done in a long time. That is achievable, right? Like where FA Cup draw came out recently, like at least one of the traditional big boys, Manchester United and Arsenal, are going to go out. So there's a chance to do something in the tournaments, right? And that's the way I see it.
Well, you're talking tournaments, yeah. So because I remember we were talking yesterday. Under no circumstances, I think you suggested that you wouldn't be happy with 10th and the Carabao Cup.
It's not great, but it's a trophy, man.
Just before you go any further, I want to bring Oren in because he hasn't said anything for a while, and I know he's not here for long, so I need to get Oren talking. And I just want to ask about substitutions. And do you think it was the right thing to do to take Maddison and Sarr off and bring on the two young boys in Bergvall and Archie Gray in that position when we're chasing a game and we've gone down to 10 men? Do you think Ange got that right, or did he mess up on that?
I don't think he messed up, because one side fans are saying that these two players should be playing more, and now fans are saying that why take Maddison, and Sarr off. Yeah, it's about rotation, and it's about the bigger picture because Spurs have Bournemouth coming up on Thursday, and then Spurs play. And yes, again, it's kind of a weird narrative, and it's very fascinating just sitting on the outside listening to fans and reading fans and stuff because it just swings from one set to the other, and it's kind of like what I try to do is keep things in reality and perspective. And the reality is, yes, as a Spurs fan, Spurs should be beating Ipswich. Yes, should have won against Brighton. There's a lot of should, but in reality, that didn't happen. And the reason why that didn't happen is because Ipswich fucking went all out. Crystal Palace went all out. Brighton went all out. And if you watch it from a football fan, you just think, you know what? You got to commend the team. You just have to commend the other team. The best team won. That's the way I look at it. And that's why I don't get upset. I would never say I'm upset about this because it's a game of football, and I would rather watch Spurs play the way they're playing now, which all fans demanded, than watch Spurs sit back and just look to counter with two players. And it's kind of like, as for trophies and stuff, of course, as a Spurs fan, I'd like to see it happen. But in reality, it's, it could be on its way, but it's up to the players, it's up to the manager. And it's, again, at the end of it all, because a lot of fans say Spurs haven't won anything, but how close has Spurs come? I believe that Spurs should have won the league twice in a row.
Yeah,
should have won the FA Cup, should have won the Champions League. So if Spurs had won those, completely different conversation. Yeah. But we seem to forget the fact that Spurs have come close. But at that time, these great players that Spurs had 2 years of probably the best players, and the rebuild has truly happened. And I just think that I'm never like Angie in, Angie out. I wouldn't play that Mickey Mouse shit. You know what I mean? It's like the manager we have is there. He should be given time, and the players that he have will grow with experience. Just like with Pochettino did. You know that team didn't click straight away. It wasn't like overnight. I think there was rumors that when if Harry Kane hadn't scored against Aston Villa, he would be sacked, and that was a change. I just have a strong feeling that that's going to happen. It's all going to click. It's all going to come together, and this season, I think, is the biggest season. And like I was saying that too, of saying it's like last season was a startup. This is the biggest season because this is where Angie goes right. I've kept these players like Bentancur, Basuma, and all those, but now I need these players. And once you
Uh,
get them in,
I,
and
I want to.
that's the thing.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah,
Put
no,
it
go,
down.
go,
I
go.
thought you're done. I thought you're done. Now I was
Yeah.
gonna say I wanted to bring Jace's comment, and I'll get back to Dej and then Zeus as well. I have to ask, what's your feelings? Is Ange tactically inept, Jay?
Jeez, open with an underarm throw, yeah. She's a little bit around us, yeah.
Hey,
Sorry.
listen, it's a serious question because a lot of
Uh-huh.
people are looking at him and they're saying it keeps coming up. Game management,
Yeah,
you know, and you talk about it like like state of play, you know,
yeah, yeah.
like we need to understand when to kind of, you know,
Mhm.
maybe slow it down, control the rhythm, control the
Yeah,
tempo, and when to take players on, when to bring players off, you
yeah.
know, short passes, you know,
Mhm.
to frustrate players. Maybe people say put a foot on the ball,
Mhm.
pauser, or we call it the pauser. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Even some people might say dark arts, even though Ange doesn't agree with that, and he
yeah.
says pragmatism. Basically, forget
Mhm.
about it. In a short
Mhm.
way, he's just saying
So
that's not his game. So,
yeah.
I just
So
wanted to make a comment before Jay.
let me dive in on this. And first of all, what I want to start with is listen. There's a lot of people complaining who said, "Listen, we could finish 10th and win a trophy, and I'd be happy."
Hell no.
That's what they said. Yeah,
Exactly.
that is what they said. Right now, we're not playing well, but we're still in 4 competitions. But those people are the loudest people. It doesn't make sense. You said you would be happy for us to win a cup, and it was irrelevant where we finished. Because when we were finishing top 4, it didn't matter. It didn't matter when we were finishing top 4. But now we're not in the top 4. It's fatal, even though we're still in the cups. That's my opening gambit. So the loudest people on that just need to just simmer while we're still in all the competitions. You can argue, you say, okay, listen, you can argue that I don't think Andrew's going to win them, but while he's in them, you have to let it play out. With Ange, tactically and all this sort of stuff, it starts with this. The players have to take responsibility for what's going on. When I watch our players, yeah, the technical mistakes I see from our players is outstanding. Yeah. When I watch like a Liverpool or a City or stuff like that, watch the technical mistakes the players make. Like simple passing, like things like that. To me, that comes down to concentration. It comes down to aptitude. It comes down to focus, right? And if these players are not capable of doing that, Ange Lang have to look at the window that we did and say, listen, we overestimated the mentality and ability of some of these players, and maybe we overestimated how ready some of these youngsters would be straight away to add value, right? So, what we have now, to me, is a squad that's between fourth and sixth in terms of ability, that's played in 4 competitions and has a number of injuries, right? When I look at the fact that we've lost to Ipswich, we lost to Palace, we lost to Newcastle, I find those kind of games were somewhat similar in terms of how the opposition played against us. So we have an issue with that kind of game. Now, if people want to say, okay, Ange is incapable of fixing that, okay, fair enough. But I'll also look at the fact of, like, for example, against Fulham, we were missing like 6 first team players, like 6 of the starting 11. So to me, that is a good caveat for that game. The fact that we played poorly against Ipswich and lost with a stronger team does not suddenly mean that because we
mm,
had a weaker team the following week, it's irrelevant.
That's a stupid logic.
The
You know what I mean?
the one caveat I'll say, sorry to interrupt you because I know you're in full flow there,
I was in the flow.
and it was similar to what Oren was saying. It's on the players, it's not on the manager.
No, it's still on the manager to an
Sorry.
extent, and we'll get there.
Yeah, but some on the manager, some on the players. You're saying it's a blame 50-50 kind of game. You know what I'm trying to say? Some on the players, some on the manager.
No, I think I'd actually go as far as to say, like, obviously the squad isn't strong enough. Yeah, some people might think that Jed Spence is the answer. Why is Jed Spence not getting more minutes? You know, people will look at we should have bought a left back in January. They'll say, okay, we've got Bergval, but you know, why didn't we get a more established midfielder? Why didn't we push for Neto? And these are all valid criticisms. Yeah, but on the flip side, Odegaard and Richarlison have essentially been injured all season. Yeah, Mikey Moore's been missing, right? Kulu's now playing centrally, so now we only have one right winger, and Johnson's blowing out of his ass now. So all of these things add together, on top of, like, you know, we go into a game and we don't set up properly tactically, or the players aren't running, marking their man, or there's been a drop off from some of our top players like Romero. It's all different factors as to why we're suffering as a team. But on the flip side, there's only 6 points separating like second from 12th. Only 6 points. It's a compressed league. Yeah. People were talking great on Villa's name last season. They're below us. Yeah. People were talking great on Newcastle's name the season before. They're below us. So what does that tell me? It tells me maybe it's not as easy to maintain in the Premier League as people think. Yeah. Maybe we're just stretched playing Europa and the league and having injuries and having a young squad and a little bit of tactical indiscipline, and the manager could improve. They're all pieces as to why we're not succeeding at the moment. It's not just the manager. To me, it's so silly to look at everything I've just said and then say it's the manager's fault, in spite of everything like that.
You make a legit point, Jay. I guess my only, and you know me, I used to love Ange, and I'm not saying I don't love Ange, but I can't help but think if Slot was in charge of Spurs, would we be where we are now? I've just been speaking to a bunch of.
It's an interesting question, but you first of all, before you go into that, think about the base squad that Slot went into. Yeah. So Ange went into a team that finished 8th and sold Kane. That is his starting point.
Yeah.
Slot went into a team that finished 3rd, has 4 genuine world-class players in the team. Yeah. And he had an established style of play that he could tweak and edit. Yeah. Massive amounts of technical ballers in his midfield, like Jones, McAllister, Szoboszlai, fucking Gravenberch. Yeah. Multitude of attackers. Diaz, Jota, Gakpo, Nunes, Salah. Harvey Elliott's been injured all season. Harvey Elliott would probably start in our midfield. He's been injured all season. They ain't missed him. Chiesa, injured all season. Not missed him. The environments these two managers came into is so polarly different to not truly embrace that fact as the core, to even be like, I don't even think I can.
I agree. Look, he's done a tremendous job. What I'm trying to say is, within the context of the job that he has done, you know, speaking to Liverpool fans,
Deji, hold on. What did we do last season in Andrew's first 13 games?
Yeah, we were.
So how different was our record under Andrew in 13 games to Slot's 13 games? So how can you, with the same amount of time, when we have just as good a record, arguably, as Slot had last season, say that Slot definitively would have been better? Because essentially at this point in time, when we did our first season with Ange, we'd had the same bulk of results with an inferior squad and more turnover.
Yeah, no, fair point. The point, all I wanted to say is that the lot of things that the main thing that I'm hearing from Liverpool fans is that his ability to manage the games. And so for me, I agree with you. I think given the context, Ant has done a tremendous job, but that job could have been better slightly had he managed it more. And I just feel like out of everything you said, that it was probably the easiest thing to work with or manage. It's just managing the game.
And that to me is fair. But you then have to say, do we have enough match winners? And you've got players like Van Dijk and Salah seeing your games through. Like, where's our Van Dijk? Where's our Salah? Do you know what I mean? And it's like, okay,
All right.
you're gonna go. So if you can argue, okay, do we even have a style of Slot could have come in and we would be more resilient and we might play a slightly different style, but we do not know how that would have impacted the side when it plays out.
Hi, box office.
Just as I'm to go. Like 18 months, we're doing worse. Yeah, no improvements. And I get your point. What I'm going to say is we're more stretched. So we're playing Europa now. And the squads, and I agree with you. I think the window wasn't great, and we lost experience. We lost the experience in the window, and we lost players like Højbjerg and Lo Celso, and we brought kids in. And I think it's fair for people to criticize that window, and it's fair for us to look at Ange and look at Lang and say, why did you do that? Because these players haven't hit it off yet. I don't disagree with anybody criticizing that window, being upset with that. I'm more looking at it from the point of view of we've not improved. I think that, we've not lost a game by more than one goal. And I know that doesn't mean much atypically, but it means that the games that we win, sometimes we smash the opposition, and the games we're losing narrowly. Now, I don't think that we want that to happen all season. But again, a lot of people wanted to go for the cups this season. I feel like we could have invested in the squad better. We probably definitely needed a left back, blah blah blah. But I'm looking at it. We're in that bulk of teams who are inconsistent, and we're playing in Europe. And United are below us. Villa are below us. Newcastle are below us. These are all teams last few years who have aspirations to be doing better. So yeah, I just look at it like we don't exist in a vacuum, and I think that it's fair for people to be critical of the team, but like I said, 6 injuries against Fulham. Fulham are a good side. What were people expecting? Do you know what I mean? We've seen our team heavily rotated go to Galatasaray and lose. People were saying 6 players not playing, and they should have started Spence on top of that. Have 7 players not. I just think some of the criticism has to be more considered, taking into account what's going on. But I'm not saying that there's not room for criticism.
I think Slot was the wrong comparison, to be fair. But I want to bring in box office. Oren, you can come in at any time.
No. I'm about to go, but I was about to go, and then I saw box office.
Yourself,
I just wanted to somebody else to say.
Yeah, box office, go for it, man.
Go take it away, Mr. Box Office.
Go on.
Firstly, I just need some shout outs, by the way. Big up Orien, by the way. This is not a dig at you. I might not agree with you, Bob, but I've every single time. You know what I mean? You know why? It's not just about football, it's about YouTube. You know why?
Yeah.
I might not agree with you. I respect you. Also, Zeus. Yeah. One thing that I will give you, Zeus. Yeah. You turn up for the Savage stream every Monday. Yeah. And you try it. Yeah. I'll give you your due. Yeah. Unlike this guy, Deji. Yeah. Who don't turn up. Yeah. Gives it all big time on big channels. Yeah. When we beat Man City. But when last week was he? Where was he, bruv? Where was he? He ran away. He ran away. He knew exactly what was coming. He knew exactly what was coming, didn't you? Didn't you, Deji? But your boy over here turns up on Savage Stream. He turns up. Yeah? So you need to learn some respect out of him, bruv. You know what I mean?
I've been on Savage Stream. What are you talking about?
Jay, because he
I've been on at least 3 times.
You had your time to shine, bruv. You're good to kick up. Sit in the corner. Yeah, be a good wingman. Yeah, well, you're not a good wingman. You know what I mean? You're a bad wingman that you're always doing every other stream, and sit like a good boy and listen to the main event cook. Yeah, Deji, Jay, you're chatting saying that we're going over the top. Yeah. You're going over the top. Big up Ash, by the way, every single time. Yeah, Spurs Kings TV. You should be liking this stream, by the way. Liking this stream. I want to hear the likes. Yeah, and acknowledge the one Ashmatic, by the way. Back to Jay, chatting absolute waffle. Yeah, you're saying that we're going over the top. Yeah, we're saying that we've got injuries. Yeah, Dragerson and Davis have been our best centre back pairing, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, so you're telling me we've got injuries?
We have got
We haven't
injuries.
missed Romero.
What?
We haven't missed Romero. We
Right.
haven't
Okay.
missed
We have
Van de
missed
Ven.
Romero, but go on.
No, we haven't. He's
Of
not been
course we
playing
have,
well
bro.
this season. He
Bro.
has not been playing well this season.
What's
He's been bad this season.
What's Romero's best attribute for us?
Oh yeah, he travels with the ball, but he's been making
What's his
mistakes.
passing like? What's his passing like?
Yeah,
Do you not? So
but
we've
it
not missed
doesn't
that at
matter.
all.
It
You know,
doesn't matter.
Dragerson can barely pass.
Yeah, but when we our best performances, yeah, and even the Man City game that everyone was lyrical about, yeah, the best pairing we had was Davis and Dragerson. So don't tell me about injuries. Yeah, when
What
mostly
does that even mean?
no, you know what it means.
It means we won in spite of those players being injured, not because.
But stop moaning about injuries because
I'm
it
not
didn't matter
moaning
against
about
Ipswich.
injuries. For
It
the
didn't matter
Fulham game,
against
we're
Tarantino.
missing 6 first-team players.
It
That's a
doesn't matter,
statement
bro.
of fact.
We knew what the squad we had. We said at the
Right? But
beginning
we're
of
missing
the season,
6 first-team players, bro.
we knew at the beginning of the season when the squad was announced, everyone was saying we don't need any more midfielders, we don't need any more defenders. We got the squad. So stop moaning about injuries. We knew
I'm
what
not
we were
moaning
getting.
about injuries. I'm saying we've got 6
Whoa,
injuries.
sorry. Have you been sorry?
What
Sorry
about
to
guys?
interrupt.
What about this?
Have you heard about Jerry
Everyone's
Jones?
complaining about the inversions. Deji, I want to come to you, Ro.
Sorry, guys. Have
What
you
do
heard
you
about
make
Jerry
of the
Jones?
fullbacks inverting?
Jerry Jones.
Yeah, he's apparently he's about to buy
Say again?
Spurs. Jerry Jones.
Oh, the
Apparently,
Dallas,
there's a
Dallas
private jet
Cowboys.
and a yacht in London.
Yeah, Dallas Cowboys. Thank God.
Yeah, six billion.
Yay!
What
We
do
can
you
compete.
what
Woohoo!
do you
Who's
mean?
your source?
It's all over Twitter. Everything.
What do you mean?
Dallas Cowboys owner.
Dallas Cowboy
coming to
Jerry
buy Tottenham
Jones.
Hotspur.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Now we compete. Now we can spend money. Now we can offer wages.
What's going on here? Wait, what?
What
Sorry,
is going on?
Breaking
Breaking
news.
news.
There was someone.
that
There
what?
was someone
Is
commented.
this breaking news?
Oh, it's breaking news for real. Wait a minute. Oh,
Yeah.
it's breaking news. People, it's breaking news. It's Dallas Cowboys.
That's right, baby. Get the
Hey,
pom
listen, I'm gonna
poms.
have to bring it up on the show. Wow, what is going on here? Oh, all right, guys.
He should be clipping
Yeah,
this.
I can't
Yeah,
remember
we've
who
got
the
an
comment
exclusive,
is, but
guys. So let me see if I can
thanks
bring it
for
on.
doing that. Yeah.
Who's
Like,
this
This
conversation?
is not fake news, yeah. This is not
no,
fake
no,
news.
this is
gonna be
all.
fake
This is all
news.
over Twitter.
Is it?
What's
Little
going
Keith?
Yeah, but what's the source?
No, this is
PFT Commenter is our source.
no. It's
Who
not
is
just
this
that.
guy? Come on,
No,
Ash.
no.
Don't
Dallas
send the
Sorry,
fan
I don't
base
know.
into
I'm
a
just
frenzy.
reacting to Deji. I don't know. I thought let me
Bro,
bring
click
it up
on
quick.
that
I
PFT.
don't know. I'm just saying. I've just thrown it up. I just saw
Bro,
it.
click on his name, bro. How many followers? Is he authentic? Is he a proper guy,
I
bro?
don't know,
We're
bro.
talking about our club
just-
being bought, bro. Come on,
I
man.
don't know, man. Like, guys, I just seen this.
Bro, click on
Yeah,
the
like calm.
Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones' private jet and yacht are in London.
Nah, who's right? I
The
need to find this PFT
82-year-old
commenter.
engages in conversations with Enoch with a view to potentially purchasing Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and the source is PFT.
Oh shit!
commenter.
He's got 1 million followers.
Can I just say one thing though? As
Oh,
much as I
shit.
was excited about an American buying Spurs, Dallas Cowboys haven't won a game so far this season. Just put that out there.
That's fine, bro. That's fine. I'm looking forward to being called a Jerry Jones lover. Do you know what I mean? Like it's got a little bit of ring to it.
And you know what's mad? It actually kind of suits us. Obviously, the NFL and all of that type of rubbish. Do you know what I mean? You're probably going to see. I don't know.
Can I ask a question though?
Go on.
If this thing is true,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna lie, I am genuinely concerned. Partly
Shut up, man. You've been
No,
crying
Jay.
about the ownership for years. You're
No,
like,
Jay.
now we're going to new
No,
owners. You're like, I'm
No, but
concerned.
Jay,
Bro,
you
you're
know-
going to take this new owner.
I let him
No,
land. Let him
no.
land. Go on.
Do you know why? Because I went to see Sean the other day. We've got this cafe that looks like a restaurant at Spurs. We know Ash was breaking it down yesterday about the hotel that's being built. And it just feels like Tottenham as an enterprise is so fixated on the commerciality the Americanization of the way that we are. The fact that we've got NFL changing rooms means that this was always on the cards. Or why would you have NFL changing rooms? Why would you have NFL pitches? They've known that this is the direction that Spurs was heading. I just think we might become too commercial that we lose Spurs, if that makes sense, and it just becomes
like Piccadilly.
I don't know. It just Tottenham's there, but it ain't Tottenham, if you know what I mean.
It becomes like
I get what you're saying.
Todd Boehly in Chelsea.
But it's a legit concern, man. It's a legit concern.
If he comes like, but that's the thing.
Oren, I can't hear you, man. Unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry. I am
Oren.
Oh, yeah,
I can hear him.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oren,
Can
you're
you
good.
hear me?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
It could become another Todd Boehly.
No, I can't hear you, man. This is mad. Oren, I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you, bro.
I can hear you.
That's
I can
Ash.
hear you.
Ash, we can hear him. It's you.
We can hear you.
Is it me? Oh, man. All right, you carry on. It's me. Carry on.
Yeah, it could become another Todd Boehly kind of situation, but that's the very interesting thing, because I think a lot of Spurs fans wouldn't care about that, because if you can have two teams like Chelsea have, I think a lot of Spurs fans would back that. But maybe this could be the whole thing as well. That's why it's a bit of topsy-turvy. They've tried to keep it quiet. Players know, Angie knows that Daniel Levy and all is going to sell the club, and they've came in. Maybe that could, it could affect the players now, knowing that, shit, this guy comes in, he's American, hasn't got a clue. He'll just buy players left, right, and centre. 500 billion, no problem. Just bring him in. Let's get Ronaldo in, Messi. They're doing well for, but like, obviously joking, but I think that's a lot of. I'll say this before I'm going here, but a lot of Spurs fans want Daniel Levy and Enoch to sell the club, and they will. But if they sell it to American or someone like the oil company, that's when Spurs will be lost, I think, truly. Because what Daniel Levy and Enoch has done, yes, whatever criticism you want to give them, they've kept Spurs with the fans and as a whole. But with American owners they'll look at that and go, no, this is a commercial. This is just do what Todd Boehly has done at Chelsea. Just bring in heaps loads of players, throw them on, get rid of them, give players 7. But I think that's the thing. Like, a lot of Spurs fans would probably rather have that than what they have now.
No, but
Not saying you.
Yeah. Because the thing is like too many fans think suboptimal means bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the issue for me. Yeah, and now we're gonna get new owners, and I hope these owners are everything that we want and what we need. But sometimes it's better the devil and I've always thought that, because when I look at pro rata different owners and stuff like that, are Chelsea getting it right because of supreme strategy or because they've thrown enough money at it? So I'm very open to having new owners, because I feel like sometimes it has been not necessarily for want of trying, but lack of money and lack of direction. Do you know what I mean? And if somebody wants to try and give us more money and more direction than we have, always going to be up for it. However, if these guys send us into the abyss, I'll be saying I told you so from the Championship. Do you know what I mean? But no, let's see how it goes.
Hell no, I don't know if I can deal with that.
I can't disagree with you, Joe, to be honest with you. And I can't actually disagree with you, Deji, on that one, to be honest with you. Don't get used to it. Don't get used to it. Yeah, but I agree with you. Don't get used to it. But I can't disagree with you, because I think one thing my feelings on Ange, because I've already done it on Mr. Box Office TV. I'm done with the subject now. Because that was the day I've done with it. That's why I did the show on Sunday. Yeah, but the thing that I don't like what the Ange fans are saying at the moment. They keep on going back to Daniel Levy, and for me, I'm sorry, I don't see anything. Like, the only thing I can blame Daniel Levy at the moment is bringing in Ange and bringing in Scott Munn. Other than that, at the moment, I don't think he's done anything wrong, to be honest with you. I'm being honest with you. I don't even understand why we're talking about him, because I think it's all on the manager. I'm being honest with you.
And Mr. Box Office, that's one of the big things for me, where I'm like, I'm not Lang out. I'm not annoyed at Lang, but I'm almost like, you get given a budget, yeah. You identify who you want to buy and what you want to do with that budget. You can argue Levy's not giving you enough of a budget. That's a separate argument. But it's Ange and Lange who are putting this squad together at the
Agreed.
moment. And in the limitations of the squad and the decisions you made, or you thinking certain players were better than they are, or certain players letting us down, or we could go without buying a left, that is a decision that you two made. Yeah? I don't really know why we're talking about the rest of it, unless you're saying the budget's not enough. Yeah, because I'm looking at the decision making and going too young with the players you got. You didn't buy enough established players.
Yeah. Oh well, that's why I did. This is why, because someone's just said in the chat. Oh, did you say that the window was terrible? Yes, I did. I did.
I said it was 5 or 6 out of 10.
I thought it was awful.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely awful.
Hey guys, sorry, I have to go here.
Yeah.
Box
Big up,
office.
big up,
The show.
big up
Right,
all
see
you,
you
by
then
the way.
again. Bye. Take
Big
care,
up
Ash.
Orion every single
Yeah.
time. Big up to you.
No worries.
But yeah, it's for me. I think it's on. I think it's on the manager, and it's even more worse now, Jay. Remember when I was arguing about Prodigy? Remember I was arguing about
I
Prodigy.
told you he was good. I told
But
you he was
now,
good.
now I'm saying, and this is embarrassing again, right? I'd rather have Prodigy back at my club. That's embarrassing, bro.
That Gabonini window.
Yeah. That's embarrassing. I hate repeating myself because I've said it a couple of times on this channel, and it's embarrassing.
Mm.
You know, because I don't rate this Lange person. This Lange person's just
You know, you know what? Like with Lange, I like Lange, yeah, and I think, but sometimes you know what? Like I look at certain things and I'm like, that Paratici sometimes he's just like, let's just buy lots of good players. He don't mess about with how does this guy do this? He's just like, is this guy a baller? Let's go. Like Gabonini, is this guy a baller? Yep, let's buy him. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes you can be too precise with all this like analytics and scouting and stuff like that. And I think it's very important. But then I look at like a Brentford sometimes, and this is my survivor's guilt, because I'll be looking at stuff and it'll be stuff that I thought at the time, but I put to one side because I'm a positive son of a bitch sometimes. And I said to myself, yeah, Brighton are really transfer data orientated, but you know who else is? Brentford. And they don't hit like that. Do you know what I mean? They don't hit like Brighton. When
Yeah,
they're
they
buying
go.
their players,
They go
Brentford.
1 or 2 stars. I don't mind.
Yeah, but their hit rate is way lower than Brighton's, isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, facts. I want to get onto the football again.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was some breaking news, but I want to quickly break down the game, and we can kind of get back onto like what your thoughts are, because I felt like this Fulham performance needs to be spoken about in a bit more depth. But here we go, man. It's Spurs played Fulham at home. You know what the lineups were. I'm not going to go into that. That's how we set up. That's how they set up. And I'm going to just pause it on the average positions, because I want you to guys to figure out which one's our average position. They almost look identical. I'm not going to lie to you. They almost look very similar. And now, obviously, if you guys know the numbers, then you'll know who's who. So the first one is us.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can see number 6 is Dragushin, 33 is Ben Davis. You've got Basuma in the 6 is number 8 there, holding in between the 2 centre backs. 29 is obviously Pat Matasar. And then either side of them, you've got the doggy. So it almost looks like a 2, a 1 in between the 2, and then a 3 across with Madison, number 10, in between them, and then another 3 there. Then I'm going to go on to Fulham, and you can see basically their centre backs split wide as well. You've got Robinson, number 33, as a left fullback, quite wide, and then you've got Tete, that's quite wide. And the reason why I showed the 2 average positions, everyone's like, invert, we keep inverting. We do invert, but you can see it looks quite, it's not that far off, if I'm being real. Like, do you know what I mean? I think the main difference is Porro looks like he's inverting a little bit more, closer to Sarr. but a doggy looks to me like in the fullback position. I don't know. Maybe you guys see it different.
No, no, that's right. But I look at it
I,
like Sonny's gone wandering there a little
yeah,
bit.
Son's
Like,
gone wandering. Son's not really in that kind of 9 position. He's kind of drifting off to where Werner is, number 16, and it's left a massive gap where Johnson is. So there's a lot of space being covered. So it's favouring our left hand side a lot. But I have noticed that
tactical maybe to get Johnson free
maybe,
at that post.
yeah, 100%. Because I've noticed that in a few games where our left hand side's where we build up quite a lot. But going back to Fulham, that's their freeze it. People could take a screenshot of that if they want. Tete for me is sorry, not Tete. You got Robinson on the left, 33. Tete is wide of the right. He looks a little bit more inverted, but you could say he's holding that width as well. Number 16, that is Sander Berg, who I think is competent on the ball. I think he's a good footballer. He's a good number 6. And then you've got number 7 is Jimenez. On number 19, which is Nelson.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Sanderberg was very impressive. I was there.
Yeah.
And I thought he's really. He
Comfortable.
looked like he just looked like the midfielder that we were missing.
Right then. And this is the conversation I want to have because
Yeah.
everyone's saying, oh, we should be beating Fulham. We're way better than Fulham. And I'm looking at Basuma on the ball compared to Sander Berg. I think.
Oh my God, Bazuma! This game was like this was the game where I'm like, he can't. No matter what he does for the rest of the season, personally, he must leave in the summer.
I can't lie. I can't disagree, bro. I think in possession, and Basuma's my guy, but in possession, he was a mess. Could not break lines. Second touch is over hitting it when he's trying to break out, trying to dribble. Decision making, running into blind alleys, not scanning the pitch. There were so many things that were wrong. But anyway, I thought I'd just bring that up. Also, the midfield, I think their double pivots looked a lot more better in Lukic and Sanderberg. Well, Lukic is number 17. He's slightly higher up. 32 is Smith Milrow. Mel Smith Rowe, sorry. And you can see they're a lot more closer. And I'm going to go into some more deeper tactics here. Like, so look, tactical passing lanes. On the left is Spurs, and on the right is Fulham. Now, on the left, I already mentioned about the passing lanes on the left and the way we build up. You can see Son number 7 is in the middle, but the passing lanes between, you've got the passing lane between number 20, Forster. He's going direct into Ben Davies, and the channel between Ben Davies, Basuma, a doggy 13, and then number 10, you've got Madison, and then you've got all the way up there is Werner. So the small triangles between Madison, a doggy, and Basuma. And the reason why I think you're seeing Madison drop in at the left back or drop in a double pivot so much is because I don't think the doggy in possession is good at building up play, if that makes sense. Yes, he's a good, powerful runner. Yes, he's good out wide because loads of people say, make sure you put a doggy out wide. But I just think in build up, if you make him drop deep to pick that ball up, I think he gives the ball away a lot. And that's maybe a tactical reason why you're seeing a doggy sometimes drop into the midfield when we're playing out from the back, when we're taking a goal kick, or if Foster or Vicari have the ball, you're seeing the doggy play it slightly higher up. And then sometimes you see the rotation there. Anyway, on the right-hand side, you're seeing Porro, number 23, and then you're seeing Saar. And there's quite a big distance for Dragusin, number 6, because he's more of a direct passer, ball over the top. He doesn't really have the ability to kind of pause on the ball like a Romero and pass through the lines, take his time and help us with build-up play. I don't think that's in Dragusin's, in his actual, repertoire. I don't think he's got that in his Arsenal kit. Do you know what I mean? In terms of Ben Davies, he's a better switcher of the play, a long passer. He can pass on the floor. He's not bad. But Dragusin is a different type of profile, in my opinion. But anyway, moving on, looking on to Fulham really quickly. I was going to round up on this bit. Fulham, you can see their distances are a lot better. And I spoke about sometimes Spurs look like we're too narrow in possession. Sometimes you need to create distance to make yourselves harder to play against so you can pass through lines a bit easier. When you're too narrow, it's easier for the opposition to nick the ball off you and press you and win that ball high up and then transition on you very quickly. And so that's the differences and the nuances I'm seeing. You look at the small triangle on the left, number 19, number 32, number 33. That's Robertson's number 33, great fullback, up and down. 32, again, Smith Rowe. Number 19 is obviously Nelson, and they interchanged quite a bit, sometimes underlapping, sometimes overlapping, and I will show that. And on the right-hand side, the difference between the pivot was Sander Berger would hold his position. Number 20 in Lukic, you can see him on the right-hand side making a triangle with Tete and also Iwobi. So they would interchange on that three. So you've got, that's why we got hit on the flank so hard, because the three of them interchanged. And actually, what you did see is Tete invert quite a bit. Do you know what I mean? He was the one to invert, and then you'd see Robertson, the one to invert as well. But I'm going to show that in the actual pictures as well. We're going to get into it. Progression, ball carrying, I'll get past that. This is the actual shots that they had in the box. You can see they dominated us for shots inside the box, higher XG as well. And that's something to worry about. I know Ange came out and he said, he wasn't too worried about, he thought it was quite, not tight, but it wasn't a lot in it. But I disagree. I think Fulham should have got a win in that, in my opinion. And performance-wise, I don't think it was that good. But yeah, here we are in the opening moments. Spurs actually do well, as always. That's, I think, Spurs' tactic is to come out flying out from the blocks, and we do well to make a pressing trap. So as you can see here, the ball's played out, and I think Bassi was maybe one of the triggers because he's not really technically good as the left-sided centre-back, and we knew to go and press on him. Son was that pressing trigger. He would go press on him. And as I hear, squared off here, you can see the amount of Spurs players trying to initiate that press. As soon as Bassi's on that ball, you can see Bassi trying to break it out. His decision-making is poor to trying to carry that ball out. It's a bit risky. And what he does, he passes it there. He actually passes it across the box. And that's where Sander Berger's not able to pick that ball up. And Werner anticipates that. You can see Werner on the bottom of that square running into that position. As Werner comes into that ball, he plays a first-time pass into Son. Now, my thing is, for Son, I'm not saying, like, this is me being splitting hairs. This is me critiquing. Can Son almost open his body up? Because the weight of the pass wasn't too fizzy. Could he take it on first time? Obviously, his body position is wrong, so he has to take a shot. But is he expecting that ball? Is he anticipating? Is he mentally sharp? Is he ready? And that's me being pedantic. This is me really like clutching at straws here. Anyway, that ball does come into him, and he takes a first touch. As he takes that first touch, I feel like he doesn't really hit that shot with enough power and enough conviction. If he puts that ball in the back of the net and he does actually get the corners, which makes the keeper find it hard to get down and save, I think it goes in the back of the net. And that is the difference between being clinical and winning games. And I think that's where Spurs are missing out. On this occasion, the keeper's off his line. Could Son even dink him? I've seen Maddison in that position, dink keepers from that particular position. So I'm looking at that with close inspection. Anyway, the keeper saves it, and it's what it is. Here it is, Basuma. Running down a blind alley, in my opinion. We're passing out the back, but then he's done a blind pass himself. With the short passes, I'm talking about the passing distances. So I think we're too narrow here, because what Fulham are trying to do, they're trying to press in the free, and they're trying to use the byline as an extra defender. So that's where Spurs get caught out. I'm thinking, Sar, can you help with the build-up? Can you drop into that kind of 6 role when Basuma's out wide in that flank, and drop in and help with an out ball? And I've squared off here triangles where the 3 players that I've mentioned in that passing triangle before in Fulham, you've got, again, Robertson, you've got Smith Rowe, and then you've got Nelson. Couple ex-Arsenal players trying to press the Spurs players in that position, trying to win that ball high up by that byline, literally in the corner outside the area, and they win that ball back. And as a result of that, the ball goes into Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe, there's a nice little diagonal into Iwobi. That ball goes into Iwobi. Iwobi gets his head up, and he plays a diagonal ball. Now, these type of diagonal balls I used to see at Celtic. I used to associate this with Angel all the time, when he would get on a player will get in the corner of the box, and it's hard to defend these type of balls. But I haven't seen it since he's been employed. I haven't really seen us use that pattern of play. Anyway, the ball goes a diagonal in from Iwobi. That ball over the top goes into Jimenez. Jimenez, for me, if he stoops down, he could maybe do a dive and header, put it in the back of net. Anyway, he takes a touch. His first touch isn't good. It's away from his body instead of being close to his body. And that allows Forster, in my opinion, to get across, make his body big, and smother that shot. Here's another chance where Spurs actually come out as a counter-attack. We're actually counter-attacking this time. We've got men behind the ball. We look dangerous. They've got less bodies, and they're actually vulnerable. They're vulnerable down the sides. You can see Robinson, number 33. Remember that number? And then you've got Bassi, number 3, and 31 is their other centre-back. But you can see Tete, number 2. He's out of position. So their right flank, which is on our left, is actually exposed. So anyway, that ball from Porro, what he does, he gets his head up and he passes it first time into Johnson. Johnson runs down and tries to beat Robinson for pace, but Robinson's got enough pace to kind of deal with it. But what he does is a blind pass, another mistake, and then Son's in that position where actually, yes, you're in on goal. What can you do with it, Son? Can you be quick upstairs? Can you anticipate something from happening? It comes into Son. The keeper's off his line at this point. And I'm like, if the keeper comes off quickly, can you commit him? Can you dink him in that area, in my opinion? Or can you stab it through his legs? He decides to go around the goalkeeper. So as he goes around the goalkeeper, that's when the keeper's able to get his hands to it and he smothers it. And I just think at the moment, Son, some people say he's lost it. Some people say he's off form. I'll leave you guys to discuss that. But anyway, Dragusin, as I said before, I think the type of footballer he is, he's a ball that likes the balls over the top. So Son's in that space, but you can't see it. But Maddison's legs just sticking out the corner of the screen. I couldn't really shift it on because that's how far the cameras were showing me, But anyway, that ball over the top, it actually goes into Son. So the ball goes into Son. Son cushions the header down. Great centre forward play there by Son. If I am going to give him a little bit of credit, he cushions it down to Porro. I'm like, can he get it into? I see Maddison. Look, Maddison's in between the two centre backs. I know he's not offside position there, but before that ball he would have been onside, and it would have been another like kind of Dele Alli type of run, which he did against Man City when he got those 2 goals. So I was surprised we didn't go for that route again, especially with Maddison making those type of runs. Anyway, that
hang on, Ash.
Yeah, go on.
Ash, are you like showing the mistakes of the game or just key moments where we can improve? Like this segment,
Both.
like what do you?
Both. It's about both. It's about showing where we defensively need to fix up, because I'm hoping someone sees this and thinks, actually, like, you know what, for my next game, this is where we tweak, this is where we move things, this is where we can improve. And then for the players, if they see in these bits moments by moment, they're actually
what is our problem? And this is what I was trying to ask.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
It will show itself. Yeah. So I'm just saying, decision making from Dragushin. Could he have found Maddison there? He doesn't. He finds Son instead. Son does a cushion header. As he cushions that header, Porro actually gets a shot off. He gets a shot off and it goes wide. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not mad at it because it's a chance. So that's that scene there. Then in possession here, you find Porro again out wide. He's not inverting. He's out wide. He's doing the fullback thing that most fans want to see. So we can't say, Porro inverting, blah, blah, blah. At the corner of the screen, you can see a doggy. A doggy's actually in a defensive position. Yes, he's inverted, meaning that he's in the midfield, but he's by the center circle where the halfway line is. So he's actually playing as a fullback there and as a left back, just in case anything breaks down. So what you're seeing, in fact, is when Porro goes forward, the doggy suits back. And when the doggy suits up forward, then Porro sits back. But obviously it's on the attacking side. So Porro's in with the ball. You can see that Johnson's making a run down the line. You can see Son's in between the 2 centre-backs in this particular position. So the ball comes into Porro. Porro gets his head up. He gives it into... he fires a ball right across to Werner. Werner is ready now to finish that chance. There's a nice ball into the box. What happens? They defend well. And unfortunately, we don't score from it. But you can see Werner in that right position. Here with Maddison, again, I did a little arrow. He's in that kind of left midfield role, quite deep. And you can see now a doggy is in the midfield with Sarr. So almost like a double pivot, but advanced. So just above that centre circle. But now on the opposite side, which you can't really see, Porro is where Maddison is. He's not in that midfield. He's playing the fullback position, right? So when one goes, one sits, when other goes, the other one sits. Then you can see with the orange boots, Son. I would prefer Son not to be in that position. I want Son in the centre forward position. That's me critiquing him. If he's going to play that role, hopefully, we've got Solanke there, because Solanke will be pinning the centre back. I think that's the difference. He would either pin the centre back, or he would drop into that central position, and it would help our ball carrying moments. But anyway, that ball there, in my opinion, goes from Maddison into Sarr. Sarr gets his head up, and he sees Son in between the fullback and the centre back. He's made a good run this time. So in between the fullback and the centre back, he's made it run. Sarr plays that ball. That first touch for me is a bit heavy from Son. And because that touch is heavy, it allows Tete to get in and win that ball back. And I'm asking, can Son protect that ball? Could his first touch be a bit closer to him? Could he do better in that chance? But for whatever reason, it doesn't happen. It breaks down, and Tete, as you can see, is the close-up still, just outside the box. He nicks that ball from him. And I remember in that game, he actually gets injured because of it, and he slows the game down. So that little injury there is what happens. Here, I've marked 2 lines. So the 2 lines are actually just demonstrating Spurs' back four. Everyone's like, I want Spurs to be in the back four. Well, this is Spurs actually in the back four. And you can see Werner's running back. You've got Basuma and Maddison running back. And then you can see on the far side, Maddison also running back. But we do have some type of shape here. But what you're seeing here is Tete now inverting. Tete's actually inverting in the midfield. So the same thing that we complain about our players doing, guess what? Fulham did it to us, and it's working in their advantage. So Tete's in the ball. He whips a diagonal cross into the box. And now you can see, running in between the lines, you're seeing a player called Jimenez. Jimenez takes it down with first touch, and he hits a volley. He hits a volley first time from that cross. And I think if he gets a bit more pronounced on the ball, if he gets a bit more oomph on the ball, that goes in the back of the net. But I give credit to Forster in this position, and he makes an excellent save, in my opinion, gets down, and he makes a save there to his near post, spreading himself and getting there. Here's a ball into Porro from Johnson, down that flank again, that familiar position, that familiar attacking play that you see. And you're seeing Porro get down to that byline. Johnson's making a run to the near post. Son's making a run to the near post. And now you're seeing Werner on the back post with the 2 midfielders in Maddison and Sarr going towards the start of the box, coming on the edge of the box, What happens next is Porro, for me, can he do a cutback to Maddison? Maddison's on the penalty spot. Can he do that? Because Son is pinning the fullback and the centre-back. The fullback and the centre-back is Bassi, and the other centre-back there is also pinning back as well. Werner's on the back post, so I can understand where Porro's actually looking at. But for me, if he cuts it back, go on.
My bad. I just have to jump. I gotta take a course. It was
No
nice
problem,
meeting you
bro.
guys. But I do want to hear the final summary of this, like what you think the problem is. Nice being on stream.
No worries, man.
We'll watch you guys a lot of time.
Also on Spotify, my bro, so you can always listen back to it as well.
Awesome.
So, yep.
All right,
Nice
peace.
one, man. Peace.
Later.
So with that being said, this is what happens. Instead of him cutting it back, he crosses it. He tries to fire across the box. The keeper anticipates it. The defenders anticipate it. Son's not near to it, and they end up blocking that particular chance, and it comes to nothing. So I just think in that area, decision making, and that point, the reason why I mentioned that point is because that's where he pulled up with the injury. For me, when he is injured and he's pulled his groin, for me, he played 90 minutes already at Roma. Come on. I think the coaching staff have to get involved and think, actually, you know what? That looks like a bit of fatigue. That looks like a bit of tiredness. Maybe we should look at him at halftime and maybe switch things up. That's what I'm saying. So I looked at it as a groin injury. However, maybe he said at halftime he wants to carry on and he wants to keep on playing. Here's another position where Dragusin's on the ball. So I'm talking about Dragusin in possession. Dragusin in possession loses the ball. And this is when Jimenez nicks it off him. So I think this might be the difference between a Romero in possession versus a Dragusin in possession. And he loses the ball high up the pitch and he puts his team under pressure. As he loses that ball, you see Robertson. Robertson now being that fullback, he's going down that line, exploiting that width because that's where Dragusin was. Dragusin was playing as a wider right-sided centre-back. Now you're seeing a doggy. I've got a doggy, and I've got Ben Davies running back to goal with Basuma running back as well, as you can see. And I've also circled the 3 players in Jimenez and also Nelson and then also Robertson. So what happens is Jimenez is running in between Ben Davies and Udogie, who's closed on him. The ball goes into Jimenez. He does a bounce pass back into Reece Nelson. Reece Nelson picks that ball up. He fires it to Iwobi. As you can see, the arrows pointing across in that final third, just outside the box, just on the edge of the D. Iwobi gets that ball in space, travels it into the box. You're seeing Ben Davies trying to come across, and he fires that ball across the face of the box, and it beats Forster and it hits the crossbar. Here was another chance we had just before the half ended, and it was a free kick with James Maddison hitting it, and it goes down on the wall. Quite clever. So you can see Maddison was still a bit sharp, still a bit focused. But here I've circled this is in the actual second half. So second half starts, and I think Fulham were on top at this point. Maddison's pointing. I've got an arrow here. He's got one hand saying, I need a fullback, I need a player here. And he's got another hand pointing to say, look, why you've got, obviously, why is my midfield so exposed? So you've got Sarr and you've got Basuma that should be marking Lukic. Lukic has got all the time and all the space to be in the ball. So Sarr and Basuma need to be positionally better. They need to be in that central place, at least one of them, to stop him having so much room, so much space on the ball. Basuma's too close to the centre backs, which is an issue. And I think Sarr is pretty much in no man's land. So I don't know what Porro's doing, pointing either. It should just be Maddison pointing, or Maddison should be on his bike trying to press him instead of pointing. But maybe he's trying to communicate to his teammates. I don't know. You guys tell me. Anyway, in this position, I've circled out the 2 players in Robertson and Smith Rowe. And the reason why I've circled them again is because they understand that's where the space is. They understand attack the flanks. So they do it in numbers. As they attack the flanks, I've circled 3 Spurs players running back, trying to defend the box because we've come in from a transition. That ball comes over into Robinson again, their fullback, their captain, very busy. But I'm saying, look how much space he has. There's no one close to him. Why? Porro's out of position. He's running back. But for me, if Porro's not there, Dragoshin's got to come across, or Sarr's got to come across and help cover, or it's Basuma. Between the 3 of them, if Porro's going to be bombing up, then one of those midfielders have to come across and put pressure because he's got too much time on the ball to cross. Cool. All right. Sloppiness. When Sarr has won the ball, he's won the ball high up, he's intercepted the ball, he's trying to find Werner. Werner's on a run. There's a great pass down the line, but what happens is a sloppy pass and it's easily intercepted by Tete, who's inverted into the midfield. He's inverted, won that ball, he's read that. As a result, he's got that ball and he's switched to play. As he switched to play, he's hit that flank. It's almost like they know Porro is either A, knackered, or he's got an injury. And also, they might have seen that tactically as a weakness, that maybe Porro, that's the weaker side compared to Udogie, who's got more physicality and more strength. So I think Fulham were purposely targeting that side. Tete switches the ball onto that side, as I said before. As the ball goes over to that side, it's got too much space. Does Porro, cuts inside, fires the ball across, goes into Iwobi. Iwobi hits a shot, but Forster's there to block it. Here we've got a time. This is where we scored a goal against the runner play. Ball goes from Son. He finds space into Johnson. Johnson's running into the box. As Johnson's got that ball, he's picked that ball up. He's actually played it back to Son. Son played it into Maddison. Maddison's fired it across that box. Into the box, it goes from Werner. Werner actually crosses it onto his weaker foot, onto his right foot. And you're seeing Johnson pop up on that right-hand post, as he normally does. And he gets his goal as he's unmarked. And that's sloppy play from Fulham. Good goal from Spurs. From there, again, another example on the flanks. We're exposed, as many people said in the comments. You're seeing 2 players out of position, not closing down Robertson. Robertson's having all the joy, getting up and down. He plays it this time rather than crossing it. He tries to go to the byline, passes it into Iwobi. Iwobi's obviously swapped positions now, coming to that left-hand side. They've not picked him up. He's able to turn. As he's turned, Sarr hasn't noticed the player in, I forgot his name, who came on. He's literally been on the edge of the box. Carney's come on the edge of the box. Sarr's not aware of him, and that's how they get their goal. boom, 1-1, back in the game on. Obviously, straight after that, there's an injury that happens to Kulusevski. Okani, obviously, he's late. It's a red card. They go to VAR and they send them off. And the game changes because of that. But before that, obviously, Fulham were all over us. Sarr gets substituted off. Berthel comes on as well. Madison comes off. And you see Archie Gray come on as well. Spurs, for me, struggled to break down the 10 men of Fulham because they went into a 5-4-1. And that's where Spurs kind of ran out of ideas, didn't know what to do with the ball, a bit lethargic, and they didn't really have a focal point. Kulusevski was meant to be the number 9. Obviously, Lancashire came on with too little to do. But as that point happened, you're seeing out wide Son get to the byline eventually. As he gets to the byline, I'm saying, can you cut back because it's so congested in that 6-yard box? You're seeing someone run late into the box. Can he cut it back there? Instead, he tries to fire it across the box and the keeper saves it. No problem. Cool. So just a quick finish where Spurs are defensive shape. So we had a 4-1-4-1. So that's what we did when we were out of possession. Just in case people were wondering, how do Spurs set up when we don't have the ball? So we're in a 4-1-4-1 when we don't have the ball. And then I'm showing here Spurs after losing the possession, after escaping the press, because we actually did a press here. How do Spurs look like when we lose the ball? And I've circled, again, the Doggy and Porro in different positions here. In that position, you're seeing the Doggy as a fullback, and you're seeing Porro higher up the pitch playing as an orthodox fullback or wing back in that position higher up. So you're actually seeing not both of them push up at the same time. We don't do that anymore. It's one at a time. And I just wanted to get that straight because a lot of people say, why does he invert both of them at the same time? He actually doesn't. I watched the game more than once, and that's why I had to put the screenshots up to prove my point. Otherwise, it looks like, I'm trying to defend him when I'm not. I'm just stating facts. Here again, Spurs in possession, deeper. This is different when we're trying to progress up the pitch. It's a 2-3-3-2 when it's meant to be a 2-3-2-3. Son's dropped into that midfield when he should be the focal point in the number 9, and he's dropped into midfield. I don't know why, maybe to receive the ball, but I think that was Son not, being tactically in the right position as a number 9, in my opinion. Fulham, out of position, I've got to mention them as well, with a high line. So when people criticize, our team for being a high line, Marco Silva, if he was employed at Spurs, he would also possibly have a high line. Would he switch up the tactics in game? That would be a different discussion, and I'm here for it. So there, Fulham are in a 2-2-3-1 in possession, and you're seeing the centre backs, in fact, high up the pitch, even in our half. So you can even see both the centre backs in that centre circle in our half, and you're seeing number 2 Tete run up the pitch. And as I've already demonstrated, he does invert into that midfield when you see Robertson go out wide. As you can see on the ball, he's out wide and he's high up the pitch. So at times, Spurs could have exploited their channels. That's where the space was to exploit. Fulham, again, when they're out of possession, they are in a 4-4-2. So that was a subtle difference. Spurs press in a 4-4-2 at times. So there's the similarities. So that's what I noticed for Tottenham and Fulham in that particular game. And the last point I'm going to make in this one is in possession. I felt the final 3 that we had don't have the skills to hold on to the ball, in my opinion. That's what it is. We don't have the players that can hold on to the ball, whereas Iwobi, Nelson, Smith Rowe, even Jimenez, their striker, they all have the ability to hold on to the ball and relieve pressure from their team. And that's why you can see the momentum swing when they got up the pitch. When it was Johnson couldn't really hold on to possession. Werner, again, he's not really a player that holds on to possession. He can do it, but he's not really his game. And then Son in the number 9, again,
It's not his game.
It's not his game. So there was a reason why we kept looking. And also the passing as well for me was lackluster. The passing from Basuma, the passing from Sarr, and even Madison. The passing was not sharp. It wasn't crisp. And it kept getting. And I think that was the main difference for me and why we looked so terrible in that game.
But
But
why? My question is why? Because that's not the only game, and that's why I put a little bit of blame on Postecoglou. Like, why hasn't he ironed this out? We've been seeing this from day dot.
so for me, I personally think in that particular game, he needs to make the right substitutions to find solutions. With Kulusevski, I understand that he played against Roma, and you were saying you're trying to save him for Bournemouth, but essentially that may have cost you 3 points or 2 points,
Yeah,
essentially against Fulham. Kulusevski, if you're not going to have Solanke, because for me, Solanke, all right, we could critique him on the goals. He's not banging the goals. We want him to score, do his job as a striker. Obviously, Johnson's striking, but he's not holding the ball up. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make no sense. You want your winger to hold on to the ball or take his man on, and you want your striker to score the goals, and they're not doing either. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like when Johnson's on the wing, and we're missing Kulusevski and Solanke, two physical presence, two players that are key in possession, we're gonna suffer a lot. And then Basuma,
easy man.
Saar, again, they can't hold on to the ball. They're not holding on to the ball, especially when we're trying to play it out the back. That's too much work for Maddison to do, in my opinion. But for me, Maddison, again, passing wasn't sharp on that particular day. He wasn't like how he was against City, where those passes, he's passing between the line, he's zipping the ball with a lot of pace, a lot of speed, and it's able to get to our front three. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, that and physicality was another issue. I think we lack physicality as well. So the issue is, I'm not saying we're reliant on Kulusevski solely and Solanke, but I think there's an issue with Porro and Udogi, but in a different way. So my issue with Porro and Udogi is that we don't have another profile that when we play the two centre backs, yeah, and the three in front, the three in front is meant to be a Basuma, and on either side of them would either be Udogi and Porro, or it would be Maddison or Saar. So if you're going to have Udogi or Porro either side of them, Porro for me, he hasn't got the physicality to play as a secondary midfielder. Do you know what I'm trying to say? He can't be another line of protection. So that's where I would look for a different profile in terms of right back. Jed Spencer's good in carrying the ball, but again, defensively, I wouldn't say he's good at inverting in a defensive midfielder role. For example, just to make it clear, just so people understand what I'm saying, when I'm looking at Chelsea put Caicedo as a right back. Why? Because they want a Caicedo to invert into the midfield, and they aligned him alongside Lavia at times, which allowed Enzo Fernandez to play as an attacking midfielder. And then you saw, what's his name? Cole Palmer be attacking midfielder as well. And then sometimes, if one of those midfielders push that position, you also got Cucurella who can invert as well. Udogi can do it, but he's not really good defensive. It's not really a DM. Do you know what I'm saying? We don't have a profile of a player that's more defensively a defensive fullback. Do you know what I mean? So I look at the recruitment of the club. We've got too many players that are quite similar. We need players that you've got one fullback that's more attack minded and one fullback that's slightly defensive minded. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in certain games, you've got a controller. So Gertruda, I spoke about the same time I spoke about Calafiori. When Calafiori went to Arsenal, we looked at him. Remember, box office. I said Calafiori would be a great player for Spurs to have because not only can he play left back, but he can also play centre back. He can play multiple roles. Do you know what I mean? And then I looked at the right back situation, and we've just got Jed Spence and Archie Gray. Can Archie Gray be the right back /6 to be the controller? I don't know. I'm not too sure if he's got that physicality. I've got question marks. Do you know what I'm saying? So tactically, that's where the issues are for me when trying to build out from the back, when trying to defend, when we lose the ball, because it was the wide areas we were getting exposed at. You're seeing Dragushin getting pulled out wide, and then Ben Davies getting pulled out wide, and then you're having to see one of the fullbacks come in and help out the centre backs, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So because Saar, like, he's good at winning the ball back, he's good at pressing, but his frailties are his awareness and where to be tactically on the pitch. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
He hasn't got announced to know where to be off the ball at times, which leaves Basuma isolated at times, which leaves him with a lot of work to do. Do you know what I mean? I think what Ange tried to do when we played Palace, he dropped Maddison because he felt with, I think it was Basuma or Bentancur, I can't remember who was in the six, but he recognized, I think it was Bentancur, he recognized Bentancur by himself is too much work. That's why he put Sarr in to create a double pivot or have a player that has a bit more physicality. So that's why I would say Ange was trying to be a little bit more pragmatic in that sense. But if you look across our team, we don't really have anyone else that's kind of, you know what I mean, in that mode where we could play two midfielders unless you play Bissouma and Bentancur together. But obviously Bentancur's got the 7-match ban, so he's not able to do that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it's a problem that we just haven't got an experienced midfielder at the moment. Asthmatic.
But Bissouma and Bentancur are experienced, so technically
Yeah,
they
but
should be able to play
they're
together.
inconsistent though. They're very inconsistent.
They are inconsistent, but if you're looking for a solution, I'm saying that would have been for me until we get to January. If you wanted to be a little bit more pragmatic, and unfortunately, Maddison has to come out. Do you know what I mean? Unless you play Maddison on the left. Do you know what I'm saying? You say, look, son, I'm going to drop you out and Maddison there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then on the right, I'm going to keep Kulu there. I don't know. Maybe you take out Johnson, you put Kulu there, and then you've got like more of a steal. You've got more of a midfield steal. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I think he tried it against Liverpool. I don't know if you guys remember it, but Liverpool, he tried to play Bentancur, Bentancur, Bissouma, and Sarr as a midfield three. If you actually look back on it, if you guys have got SofaScore, go back to that game and look at the lineup that we played. It was those three in midfield. Because the Chelsea game, he was so upset. He was like shouting, "Why are you not running? Why are you not?" So he thought, you know what? I'm going to have to be a little bit more pragmatic here. I want to have all three of these midfielders in that position. But what happened was it wasn't working. We didn't have enough mobility, enough legs in those areas. So Spurs do have an issue with A, legs, B, tactical nous, where to be. Do you know what I'm saying? And then on the ball, when you have to protect the ball, on the ball, being able to get your team up the pitch. They were passing, the passing was lackluster. On the half turn, that wasn't happening. And like beating your man, dribbling in the midfield. None of our midfielders were doing that. So that's a massive issue.
The problem is though, Asmat, is that unfortunately, I don't think any of our midfielders are one of can hold the ball. I think
That's what I just said. That's what I just said.
Yeah, and I think that's why I have to. I mean, it's a problem with every other team now, but especially Range, we're just very, very much a very pacey sort of one-pace team. You know what I mean? It's got to be fast.
Yeah, I think.
You know, and it's not. There's nowhere to just slow it down. What I was impressed with Fulham after they got that equalising goal, and then the midfielder got sent off. Tierney got sent off.
Yeah.
Straight away, manager says, brings them all in. Just brings them all into the touchline. You know what I mean? And just says, you know what I mean? Because he knew what he was doing when he was doing that. He's like thinking, yeah, I've got to bring them in right now because Tottenham, they're a momentum side. They'll use that momentum that Tierney's got sent off. They're gonna go at us. And as soon as he did that, it broke up the momentum, right? Fulham understood what they were doing. What chance did Tottenham have after that?
None.
Look, I'm going to bring it up here. Look, I've got it now. I'm going to bring it up here so you guys can see it. So you know I'm not just chatting for chatting's sake. I'm trying to bring the evidence, yeah? If I can make this a lot bigger so the audience can see as well. Sorry, Dej.
That's right.
Here, look, let me put it like this. This is against Liverpool, guys. I don't know if you can see it. Let me actually make it a main screen. I'm going to shut you off. You can see the midfield is Bentancur, Pat Sarr, and Bissouma. This is against Liverpool last season. He tried to go a bit more pragmatic with those three midfielders, and it didn't work. We still lost that game. In the defence, we actually had Emerson Royal as left back, Porro right back, Romero, Van der Ven, Vicario. Do you know what I mean? But we still didn't have an answer. Johnson was on the left, Kulusevski was on the right, and Song was up top. Do you know what I mean? But we had the same issues as before, where we just can't. We couldn't get hold of the ball. We couldn't progress the ball. We didn't have enough legs, and as a result of it, we ended up losing that game. Do you know what I mean? So it's an issue that we've got to figure out, in my opinion. So I mean, we can say Ange doesn't adapt. Do you know what I mean? But I think he's got a lot to think about. I think his in-game management and his ability to deal with things that happen in the moment, that's what he struggles with. Do you know what I mean? If he's got a whole week to prepare, think about it. If you deep it, Man City was on a Saturday. You had a whole week, or you had the whole 5 days to prepare for City. Do you know what I'm saying? Against Roma, he had like 3 or 4 days. Against Fulham, he had 3 or 4 days. Fulham had a whole 5-6 days to prepare. Do you know? I'm not making excuses, by the way. I'm just saying, I think he's a bit not slow, but he's not like he needs more time to kind of get those, tactics right in place. But
I've rarely seen him get a tactic right during the game.
Even last season, I'm going to go back on myself. Even last season, he had 1 game a week, and he was still struggling with it. To be fair, do you know what I mean? People will say it's the injuries, but like, and against those top 4 teams, again, we did have players missing. I already showed Emerson Royal was playing left back, and then we had Johnson as a left winger. You could see like Johnson as a left winger. It's neither here or there. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's there's so many issues. I just think recruitment wise, they got it all wrong. And like Dave said at the start of the show, Bergvall might have to go out on loan because he just needs football. Do you know what I mean? To develop.
It's interesting now people are saying Bergvall needs to go on loan because it's not like we haven't said it before, most of us.
It's clear. It's looking like it's clear. Because like if you deep it now, Ange is not really using them, is he? He's not really.
Well,
he's never that's why I felt that he threw in the towel, because as soon as Archie and Bergvall came on, you knew they weren't. What value were they going to bring to the game against Fulham? They weren't going to do nothing. There was no way they were going to be able to do anything. So I was like, and Madders is shaking his head, and I agreed with him. I was shaking my head like that is the wrong move.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for them because they put the statement out at the beginning of the season when the transfer window was just about to end. They said, and I put it on my channel, Mr. Box Office TV, said it was a mistake. And look how it's a mistake now. We're very impressed with Bergvall and Archie Gray. We don't need any midfielders because they look very impressive in training. All the RTKs were saying it.
Yeah.
Now look at it now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't. And it's the same thing with the defenders. We said, no, we don't want to block the pathway to our defenders who are on loan.
Yeah.
Again, Mikey Moore, we said, no, we're getting Timo Werner in. I've heard some of the fans have said, we're getting Timo Werner in because we don't want to block the pathway to Mikey Moore.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, we put it ourselves. We put pressure on the youngsters ourselves. So I'm sorry, I cannot.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? I agree, bro. I agree. You know what it is as well, though. People will disagree with me, yeah. And like obviously, Dej, I spoke about this behind the scenes with you, innit? About the hotel situation and about the lowering of the wage budget, the wage bill. Sorry, and I said it on Last Word on Spurs as well. I think behind the hotel, he's trying to get the apartments ready as well. It's not just a hotel. 300 million for the hotel. Apartments are getting ready as well. Obviously, now we've got this whole Dallas thing being linked with. Do you know what I'm saying? He's trying to make the club look attractive to purchase, but that's the reason why I think he was like the whole, like, we're happy with the midfielders that we've got, because think about it, Bergvall is on like what 15 to 25k in it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we brought in Solanke. Solanke's on like what 50 to 60k. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Timo Werner's over 100.
Timo's the only one that's on high wage. Like out of everyone, Timo's like probably one of the highest pays from the players that we brought in. And remember, we got rid of Højbjerg that we was on like 70k. We got rid of
people that we are telling people. Sorry to interrupt. We're telling people we should give him credit for having a little good game against bloody Fulham, please, honestly, do better. Sorry, I've had enough of him. Get rid
But
of
stay
him.
on the point. Stay on point though.
Yeah,
The point is, like the wage bill was slashed dramatically, yeah. And fans were like, "Yeah, we won the transfer window because we slashed the bill." But I'm like, "Bro, no. How do you sell Skip and you sell Hoiberg and Lo Celso? That's 3 senior players, 3 season pros, and not replace them with at
and let
least
Perisic
one."
go.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying, even in the midfield though, and not at least have 1 season pro in. Do you know what I'm saying? At least 1 season pro with a different profile to
Yeah.
challenge the positions. I'm here for Project Youth, but
It's
a bit
mad.
of balance just to go alongside it. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's
So then,
mad.
go on, Deji. Sorry.
No, I was going to say it's madness. Go on, bro.
Yeah, no, it's madness. Yeah, so yeah, Perisic again, like you said, Mr. Box Office. How much wages was he on? He was on like 180k or something.
Well, I'd rather have him in my team.
I hear it. Same over Werner. I think he would have done a better job over
He
Werner.
would have taught the youngsters more than Timo Werner's doing right now.
Yeah, no, 100%.
With
So
his winning mentality, because he wouldn't be happy right now.
I just think, like, looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if Areola was to come in, for example. Like, let's put it in. Let's have it right here. Let's say we got rid of Ange, and we got Areola in, because people are saying Ange is a yes man, right? Do you think Areola would toe the corporate line and be like, yeah, you know what, these are my players? Or do you think he'd be like, he'll be different to what Ange is? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
He may coach the players better. The difference is at the moment, the specific reason why I at the moment, and I've noticed it right now, right? He's not a good coach. He's not made any of those players better. And unfortunately, for me, at the moment, we are better with coaches than managers, right? The difference is with him and Harry Redknapp. Harry Redknapp knew what coaches to put in his coaching staff, and he would change it to what the teams we've got. What I see at Tottenham at the moment, Ange is saying, coaches, this is the system. You do this.
Yeah.
Would
You
you
do
agree with
this.
that, Deji? Because he's got a point. He's saying basically the coaches we have at the moment, they're looking like little men. You know what I'm saying? They're looking like
Yeah.
youngsters. You got Matty Wells. He was the head coach for the under 21. Sorry, and obviously he's new in this thing, isn't it? He's a young boy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then you've got the 2 brothers from Hibernian from Scotland,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
They're fairly like new in their kind of coaching roles. Whereas like Harry Redknapp, if actually deep it, he had Simon Jordan, an older brother. You know what I'm saying? Poch had Jesus in them, man. You get me?
Yeah.
He had the olders again. You know what I'm saying? So like, is it like a thing where like Ange has got these young coaches for a reason? Do you know what I mean? So they just take his ideas, or do you think they challenge him? Do you think Ryan Mason? You think Yanalek?
No.
The man
So-
are like coming up to Ange and say, "Bro, I think you're wrong. I think you're inverting these fullbacks.
So,
I think you're."
I think that these managers that he's brought in will end up being talented managers, but they have to learn somewhere. The issue is they shouldn't be learning at our club. Tottenham is not a club where new managers who've just got their licenses or whatever, have just passed certain grades, are now experimenting on top 6 players in the league. That should not be happening. And to a certain extent, they've tried and they've done a good job. But Postecoglou, it did worry me because he doesn't have a squad of coaches. He always goes to a team and he rebuilds. And some of them brothers there, I was like, rah, like you're really just gonna go and get some random guys and bring them into our club. You might be a genius, or this might fall flat on your face. I don't like it, if I'm being honest with you. I want experienced coaches working with our lads, getting the best out of them. And to be honest, it does feel like he did a little bit of Russian roulette in that regard. Because Ryan Mason, for me, I'm not being funny, but he was a midfielder, right?
Yeah,
And he's our attacking coach.
yeah. But to be fair, all right, just a caveat, yeah. When Mourinho came in, he got some young boy in as well. Do you know what I'm saying? And the Brighton coach, he actually came over when Andrew was doing. He did his badges when Andrew was in the job to learn about the systems and learn off him. He actually was asking a lot of questions.
Spurs,
Hertzler actually from Brighton, and Brighton people are rating him as a young manager, young coach. Do you know what I'm saying? He said he was very inquisitive, asking lots of questions. I think that's what Andrew was saying. He says, yeah, he's asking a lot of questions. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if he's doing it with a young team, why can't we do it with young coaches as well? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a caveat.
But I think he's just stuck in his ways at the moment, Ash. Because at the moment, like I said, he's got someone there who's a player development guy. I keep on banging on about it because it was made quite clear when he came in, Nick Montgomery, a player development guy. I don't see him really doing that much to player development at the moment. I mean, obviously, I'm not in the club, so I don't know what sort of influence he has at the moment. But he's well renowned for being a player development coach.
Well, maybe we'll have to wait until. Well, you don't have to wait because your mind's made up. But I mean, maybe Deji might have to wait until like January to maybe see, because then at least we've played everyone at least once. Do you know what I'm saying? And you can say, has he developed them? Has it been? But also, do those young coaches that have just come in, do they need time to imprint their style and get their ideas over to these players? Because obviously, Ange is giving them the framework. But then it's down to these new coaches to say, actually, like, this is how we do it. Because he said when they came in,
but not with Tottenham. I think you do that with teams in League Two, League One. You ply your trade, you learn, you perfect it, you come through. You don't learn on the job at a big six. That's madness.
So, but all right, cool. All right. So, are we saying then Areola? He's a better coach right now.
Well, I know Pochettino's a better coach. I know Pochettino's a better coach.
I wanted Poch back, and I think this team suits Poch probably more than it suits Postecoglou. But what I would say about Areola, the reason why I've been shouting Areola is because I've seen him take a so-called inferior team, and they've literally bossed most of the games they played. I watched this team pop Chelsea off the park. I've seen this team slap up Arsenal. I saw this team slap up City. I saw this team go toe-to-toe with Liverpool. Do you know what I'm saying? With Kluivert's son, yeah? With Semenyo, yeah? With Xerxes. And the one thing he has done, you got to look at the profile. We've brought in Solanke. Solanke is our main striker for the next 4 seasons, yeah? And we have a target man that we don't target. Areola knows how to bring out the best in Solanke, so it makes sense to me. Also, I would like to see Kirkes at Spurs going toe-to-toe with Udogie, because I feel like the lack of competition has meant that these guys can sleepwalk, make as many mistakes as they like, and, there's no repercussions for it. I would like to see Semenyo be the main man on the right-hand side, or the left-hand side, and then Brennan Johnson come on. I mean, bro, look, dare I say it, Bournemouth team.
Go on. I'm listening. Go on.
I think I prefer Bournemouth's attack to ours.
Deji, you're not saying anything bad there. I can't say anything. Again, get used to it. I can't say any more than that because I don't like my attack. I've told everybody I don't like my attack.
I would take Kluivert and Semenyo over our wingers.
I'll take Semenyo all day long, bro.
Do you know the first season of Areola's tenure, the Bournemouth fans wanted him out. The first season, they were like, he's no good. He's tactically inept. He doesn't know what he's doing. Blah blah blah. Obviously, after that, he's shown his worth. The second season, he was under I remember the first 6 months, he was under real pressure. Real pressure. I think he took over from, is it Gary O'Neill? He came in. And
Gary O'Neill had been playing some good football. Gary O'Neill is not a bad. I like his style of play. I can't lie.
Gary O'Neill is basically in the bottom 4, bottom 5 at the moment. Do you know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Like, that the way like the football is at the moment. You can even go say what's his name, Frank. Thomas Frank. He started quite slow. Do you know what I mean? And then now he's getting a lot of accolades. People are respecting him, and I think people want. I feel like fans want change, as in, you know, like every game we play, we change to their opponent. But I think Emre tried that against us,
It didn't
and
work.
and it
They
didn't
were-
work. We
no,
smoked them.
I don't think it's that. I think what it is that
Mm.
Tottenham. Like I said, I've got no issues with his style of play, but I think we want to win the games we're supposed to win, if that makes sense. So look, I could take the Newcastle game. I could even take the Arsenal game. We played well, but it just didn't happen. But the Brighton, the Ipswich, the Crystal Palace, the Fulham, I think that it's the manner. And for me, I just feel like if it was one of those managers, they get a result. Gary O'Neill gets a result against Fulham. Gary O'Neill with that Spurs team gets a result against Ipswich. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's that is the issue. We're not. It's weird because Postecoglou will do the unthinkable and he will beat Liverpool in and it's been like 10 years since we've beaten Liverpool. He will probably beat Chelsea on Sunday, but then that is marred by the fact that we probably get slapped up by Bournemouth or even if we beat Bournemouth, I can see Postecoglou go into the Saints and getting beat. And that's the issue. It's like it just doesn't make it legit. Does that make? I don't know if you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
The problem is though is that I think we're better doing the Conte style than doing Ange ball. I think that's the problem at the moment. I think the games that we played well in have
The
been
thing is, though, bro. I mean,
Man City and Aston Villa. We're playing Conte ball.
but
Yeah.
the thing is, yeah, against Fulham, we didn't have a lot of possession. I don't know if I brought it up, but against Fulham, the possession stats were, I think we had 55% and they had like 45. So it's not like we dominated them like we normally do. Do you know what I'm saying? Normally we have a lot of the ball and we pin teams back. But in this game, I think the reason why loads of fans were upset about the performance was actually we did get behind the ball quite a lot. But the difference is we weren't able to transition and hurt them on the counter. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it's because we didn't have Kulusevski though, isn't it? I mean,
We
I
didn't
don't rate him. I don't rate him. I think the wrong sort of. Unfortunately, uh, I think this is where people's argument is for Solanke at the moment because I think he does hold up the ball. I mean, I think you should be doing more as a striker. I think you need to score goals as well because I think that's what you
But
should be your job
they're
as
not
well.
aiming for him. But I hear you. Sorry.
But
Yeah.
that's why I said it didn't make no sense because I said Johnson's moving like the striker scoring goals, and then Solanke is doing what Johnson should do,
Well,
holding up
that's
the
why I
ball,
said that's why I
No,
think
and
you should be up
trying
front.
to beat a man carrying the ball up the pitch. Do you know
but
what I'm
you said
saying?
it. But you said it yourself that the game is built. The game has been built more for the wingers than the striker. So,
Yeah.
for example, the game plan is Werner must find Brennan Johnson must be at the back post when Werner knocks it
Yeah.
through.
Mm.
Werner must be at the back post when Brennan Johnson knocks it through. There is no word about you should be in the box from our striker. It's just those two. So that's why our wingers, he would have been good. He would have been excellent for Salah and Mane. But he's just aiming for them two brothers. What we don't have on our wings is a Salah or Mane. And I think the quality. I mean, look, it's crazy because he's actually getting the most you can get out of the quality of player he's got. I don't think any other manager will have Brennan Johnson at the level of goals he scored at this. Brennan Johnson's on course to getting 15, 16 Premier League goals. That's
That's
mad. For someone
I still think he's
That's
awful
mad.
though.
yeah, no, I'm not saying that he's brilliant. I'm just
No,
saying
no.
it's crazy.
If I'm like I said, if I'm saying that Haaland's the above average John Carew without the goals, I'm sorry, right? He's the below average Raheem Sterling without the goals because when he doesn't, if he does nothing. And look at what Sterling does for Arsenal. If he doesn't score goals, because he's lost his pace, because when Johnson loses his pace, he'll be absolutely useless, right? Right? He does nothing. I'm sorry. I've watched
So
people like David Ginola.
you're both saying that Spurs' issue is a quality issue where Spurs lack the X factor in the final
Oh,
third.
100%.
In the final third.
Can I be real?
100%.
Can I be real? I think our front three
Say it
I think our front three
with chest. Say it.
is worse than West Ham's.
But bro, that's not even a bad take. But don't treasure this moment for the rest of your life. I
I don't like.
absolutely agree with
I
you.
would
Absolutely
rather
agree with
have
you.
Bowen and
I'd
Kudus
rather have them as well, to be
on
honest
the
with you.
wing
I'll have Somerville
than
in my
Manuka.
team tomorrow.
Straight up, bro.
I have
Our
Somerville
front
in my
three
team tomorrow. I have Bowen in my team tomorrow. I have
is
Kudos in my
rubbish.
team tomorrow.
Yeah.
I have all of them. I'm
And
sorry.
you know you want to know the
I
killer.
even take the player up front. I forgot his name
You want to
now.
know the killer, and this is not me being negative. I'm just a realist. I look at Brighton, and I would happily swap our whole team for Brighton's team. The whole team.
I'll take that. I'll take the
I'll swap everyone. I legitly, and I look at So on one hand, when you deep it, he is producing a miracle. Because this team is right.
But we
Literally,
don't.
our team is
It's not
right,
even.
bro.
It's not even great football though. It's not even great football. It's terrible football.
How has he
It's not
got
even
this team scoring the most goals in the
because
Prem?
we just attack. We just gun ho, isn't it? That's the thing. Because it's just a simple system, just like pass it into the box, and it's because that's why our XG is so good. Our XG, whatever it is, because I don't do XG. I'm not a kid. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
come on,
last point I just wanted to say.
Go on.
This is our worst team.
bro. You're not saying anything bad there.
This is our worst team. When you deep it under Martin Joel, we had these players. Under Graham Souness, we had players. Under Poch, under Villas Boas.
Wait.
This is the worst.
Do you think?
What?
Wait, hold that point. Do you think Fulham had a better midfield than us?
Yes. Yeah.
I'll
Box
say
office, you agree?
that song of the book is so
I
good.
actually think Fulham. I think I remember saying in my preview, there's about 5 in their front. There's 5 that I would have taken, and Kearney, who scored, I said I'd have him in my midfield, even though he doesn't bloody start. I'd have Robertson. Happily take Robertson from them. I would happily take.
Oh, take Robertson from him. Yeah, Robertson's very good. Yeah, I've been impressed with him.
Jimenez can do a job for us.
He could. Yeah.
You know, people.
Smith Rowood.
Bro, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, bro. The Fulham's squad, Fulham's first 11.
Yeah, nah. I mean, yeah. There's like I don't think I'd have a Wolvie, but
You got to take some humble pie for that, though. Yeah. Now you've admitted that. Now, yeah. You've admitted that
No,
now. Yeah. Sorry
no.
to interrupt you, my boy, Ash.
Go
Yeah.
on.
But you got to take some humble pie now because you're twerking, like saying, look at all this now, saying that now you said this. I'm going to remember this.
I don't mind.
I'm
Look,
going to remember this.
I just look at other teams and I think, bruh. And that's why I don't forgive them. Like, I would rather have Anderson than Romero. I think Robinson.
all right.
I don't. If we had Robinson
cool.
from Fulham, I wouldn't give a damn if Udogie doesn't play for us again.
All right, I hear what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
The
Like,
players are not happy with, but coming back to Ange said all the players are on him. Do you understand? That's what box office always says. The players are on him. They're on him. So what is man saying? Is man saying that Ange is a gaslighter? He just chats bare s. He's talking bare breeze, or is Ange just doing the corporate dance to get paid? You know what I'm saying?
Ange is a little bit of a madman. Let me explain. He believes in himself, and legitly, I think he can do something. It's weird. He's a weird one. He said when Kane was leaving, you would have you're under my ball. You would have bagged bare goals, and I don't dispute that. I think if Kane stayed, he's banging in 40 goals in the season at the rate that we're scoring goals. But we missed that boat. So on one hand, he does have some pedigree to say such thing. Where I think he's been smoking the budgie banton is we can see with our eyes that the players that you've got, they're that Namekit. You got me doing patois. They're not good enough. Like Archie Gray, Bergval, Alderbear, it's all right, but they're not an Ethan Wanyeri. They're not a Rico Lewis. They're not. Do you know what I mean? Like I can't
Levels,
see
levels.
I can't see the je ne sais quoi. They're
It's
just
not a Neto. It's not a
they're-
Neto.
it's more. I see Bergvall and Archie Gray. They're like Skip and Harry Winks. I swear down, it's Skip and Harry Winks. It's right, but where's the the big players, the flair players? They're not there. They don't exist, and that's the issue. And he thinks he can make a Skip, Harry Winks, and turn them into Xavi and Iniesta, and he might be able to, but if it doesn't work, I do feel he's a gambler. Like I legitimately think Postecoglou is a big boy gambler. If it works, he's a genius. If it doesn't work, he falls flat on his face.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so I mean, when it comes to like the players that he said it's on him, there's no player that walks into the club that he doesn't approve. Then surely he has to be accountable. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it's on him.
Like
I'm
Anthony,
sorry.
I'll take Anthony Gordon.
But I'll throw a caveat in there because that's what I like to do, innit? Like, I will. Could we say those players were club players, club signings? Because let's face it, the turnover of managers, you're here today, you're gone tomorrow. Like, we haven't had a manager that's survived 2 years or 2 seasons in a long time. Do you know what I'm saying? So players, like, realistically, Lange is the one they're gonna buy a player. Like, look what we did with Conte. Conte, we had Emerson Royale, we had on loan, we had the Dan Juma. So we had Dan Juma. Is
But
that
he didn't want Dan Juma though. He
what?
made it clear he didn't like Dan
I
Juma.
actually like Danjuma, you know. I
But did he
actually
Yeah.
come
think
out?
I
No,
was a
he come out. No, wait, he
as
came out
well.
and said. No, he came out and said that he didn't want Spence. That was a club signing. But I
Yeah.
didn't hear him say anything about Dan Juma.
Yeah, but he wasn't like
Longley didn't say nothing about either.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
But
When Richarlison came, he didn't say anything.
no, I agree
You know
with you
what I'm
there.
trying to say? So sometimes I'm thinking, was that really Conte's players, or was that club
I
signing?
think
And then,
I think the difference is though, Ash. Yeah,
yeah, go
he
on.
got us into Champions League though, right? Right, with the
Yeah, I
players
hear
that
that.
he was given, yeah, in January, right, and he did
Mm.
this in 6 months, right, and just had 400 million to spend, right, right.
Mhm.
He said it. All these players are on him, right. If he had a problem with it, he would have said no because Pochettino said no, right, to a few players. That's why we didn't sign anybody, right. So that's on him,
I just don't
right,
get. I don't get
right.
it.
So for me, I'm sorry, Ange's got a lot to. You know what I
So
mean? Because
you think the club, you don't think Werner and Archie Gray was club signings? You think that was an
well,
Ange
no,
signing?
to be honest with you, it's confirmed in the fans forum. Daniel Levy said, right,
Mhm.
we don't put pressure on Ange to buy the players that we wanted to get young players. And Ange was sitting there and did say nothing. It didn't say Dicky Bird. I haven't got the quote
Yeah,
on
I
me,
know.
but I
I've
can get
seen
the
it.
quote.
I've seen it.
So this is why I'm sorry. This is why now I don't even speak. I said, and Deji can vouch me as well, and you can vouch me. I said until I see the this guy goes for a bad run, I want to see what the board do. But I'm seeing a connection here with Lange,
Mm,
Scott Munn,
mm,
Postecoglou, and Daniel
mm,
Levy. Right, so
mm,
I'm not even spoken about Daniel Levy anymore.
mm,
Right, it's now more on and now I'm seeing the excuses now saying, oh, it's all on Levy now. Levy's not doing it.
mm.
You can see clearly that there is a connection there between lot, and I think it's more on the manager now than and Lange. Lange is not to,
Yeah,
Lange is important in this as well.
Because
go on, go on.
I rather parrot. You know what? One thing someone mentioned before earlier today or yesterday, Paratici did a great job.
Exactly, yeah, I agree there.
He did a great job. Even Romero, to a certain extent, is do you know what I mean? Paratici was about to get us Edison from Atalanta at number 6 until our brother Postecoglou said he don't need a 6. If you need it, we need a 6, and he doesn't want to do it. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, yeah, man. I think the biggest issue, and you said it, Ash. You said it great yesterday. I did cognitive dissonance. I'm not gonna lie. That I knew that these players were rubbish, but I tried to pretend like I did. I had to pretend. That summer transfer window was a bunch of nonsense. And I'm not gonna lie, Alex, you were right. Do you get me? I don't like to just cut off the avenue for young players because maybe I have a vested interest. One day, God willing, my son will play. So I'm not gonna be the one cutting pathways to young talent. But at the same time, bloody hell, when you think we could have had Cunha, when you think we could have had Semenyo, when you think we could have had Anderson, with the money that we spent, when you think we could have had, these.
Mamouche. We could have had Mamouche. Remember,
Yeah.
Mido was talking about Mamouche from Frankfurt, saying, but like he's the top scorer in the Bundesliga
Kone.
right now.
You could have had Kone,
We
who went
could have had
to
him on a free. We could have got
Kone,
him.
who was at Roma. Kone's at Roma that played well
Yeah,
against
20
us.
million in it. 20
You could
million.
have had Sonderberg. You could have had Sonderberg because he was coming from Sheffield United.
Yeah,
Yeah. You
Yeah.
could have had Eze
yeah. Wages though, wages.
because I know Deji wanted Eze.
Wages,
Deji
yeah.
wanted Eze.
wages are too high, so that was a no-no, isn't it?
Oh,
We don't
whatever,
want
man.
to
We
pay
got Timo
100. We
Werner
don't
on
want to
how
pay
much
100 grand.
wages? We got Timo Werner on how much wages?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I know.
that's an
I know.
excuse. I'd rather have Eze all day long. Sorry.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Matt O'Reilly could have had him.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? There's
you know
so
what?
many
Do you know
players.
what? Do you know what's mad? Just to bring up that point, like when Ange was at Celtic, I'm looking at the profile of the player, and I'm looking at Jota. I'm looking at Matt O'Reilly that they brought in for him.
Yeah, come
I'm
on.
looking at. There's 2 Japanese players that they had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rio Hatate and the striker. I forget his name. Someone in the comments will remind me. But the level of quality, like you saw, like especially on the ball, Jota technically is better than any of our wingers right now. Jota would walk into this team. Yeah, he went to Saudi for whatever reason, but I'm looking at their talent ID. There's the people that use their data metrics to get the players that Ange needed at Celtic compared to what he got here, and I'm like, what's going on with our recruitment team? Our recruitment team is abysmal. That's it. Kyogo Fuyoshi,
Yeah.
striker.
Jose knows, man. He knows. I'm not. It's not that I'm Eugene. Big up, yeah, Eugene. I've been up since 4 a.m. So if I look tired, I do apologize. It's been a long day for me.
I'm going to end in 5. Sorry.
But what I was gonna say is I'm not trying to be. I do love Ange Ball. I do love the idea of what he's trying to do. But the more I look at other teams around us, the more I see that we just don't have the quality. And actually, if we are to be brutally honest, and I think I can say this to Alex, that team is actually overachieving. We are actually overachieving with that.
But before you even answer that, Alex, do you think like people call them Anginas? Do you think people want Ange to stay because, like you said, they kind of like love the idea of Ange as opposed to what Ange is actually doing? Am I making sense? Do you know what I mean? It's the idea, it's the romance of it, like the attacking football. It's the players, working in what do they call it? Barcelona when he was in Australia. That kind of Barcelona system, the triangles, the kind of like tiki. It's not even tiki taka because it's high octane possession football, isn't it? It's non-stop running. Some people call it end to end. Open football. Do you think it's more of that? That's why fans are clinging on to, and that's why there's lots of people I feel that are slightly turning on Ange at the moment because we're seeing performances of Fulham, Bournemouth, no one's really confident at, and then we've got Chelsea next. Do you know what I mean? Could he be out? Could fans fall out of love with him in the next 4 games?
Deji, I think it's to you, mate.
And will the board pack him? Because Bristol box office is always asking for the Arsenal. He wants to see when the fans turn, can the board do what Arsenal did and stick by their man?
The issue I'm having, and Jose's there, and I feel he's disappointed. I feel he feels disappointed in what I'm trying to say, but I feel like my glasses, because I do wear contacts, I feel like I've got my glasses on, and I'll explain why. So even Yang is coming in Jan. What's Yang gonna do at 18? Then we are not replacing Fraser Forster. We're not replacing him. So we have decided that until the end of the season, Forster's gonna be our number 1. Are we mad? Do you get what I'm saying? Are we crazy? So with that, what can that possibly do? We need 5 big players, big ones. We need to put in a bid for Kelleher. He wants to leave Liverpool. We need to spend 40 mil, and I'm quite happy for him to go toe to toe with Vicario. Yes, that's the sort of level if we're ambitious. We need a Robinson. We need Anderson in now, Sel Romero in Jan. Even if Pedro Porro wants to go, get him gone. There's other right backs that we could bring in that could do better job than Pedro Porro. Like, we got to get serious as a team. And I think these youngsters will come good. Yang is going to need at least 2 seasons. He needs to come on for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Yang can't come on and start. What's he going to do, really? Do you get what I'm saying? So, for me, we need to balance the books. The squad right now is too lightweight. It's very light. And that's why the 1 or 2 injuries that we're having, I know it's 6, but this is not as bad as last season, but it looks worse.
Look, I'm going to make it even worse. Look, watch this. I can see Tottenham buying a youngster for a goalkeeper, like a 20-year-old. We're linked with a 20-year-old from Sunderland coming in. Because I told you, remember I told you yesterday, we're doing in my projects. We're doing that Project Youth, bro. So I can see, look, we could have got Dorgu. Remember, I don't know if you guys were there, but I talked about this guy called Dorgu. I think Mixed the Box Office was there. And I spoke about another defender called Loco, right? 2 top players that could rival the Doggy. Do you know what I'm saying? We didn't go for Dorgu in the summer when I was looking at him. Dorgu was, I think, on transfer market, I think it was touted between 25 mil and 35 million, yeah? Euros, yeah? We didn't want to cough up, yeah? We didn't want to buy the left back. Why? Because we couldn't get Reguilon off the wage bill. Like, I'm not making this up. It's just the facts. These are the facts. Like, I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade. We didn't get rid of Reguilon. That's why we didn't go for left back. We were being tight with the wages, so we didn't get him in. And as a result now, Manchester United, with their new manager, their new coach in Amorim, they're looking at Dorgu, yeah? And it's gone up to 50 million, yeah? 50 million for the youngster now. Guess who else wants him? Chelsea want him. They're looking at him. Guess who else wants Dorgu? What? Milan. Guess who else wants him? Juventus. Guess who else wants him? You get my drift, bro.
Sometimes I've got to hit it hard early, don't you? You got to hit
You have
it
to
early.
hit it early, bro. There's certain players, and not every player you're gonna get like a gem like your Doggy. Do you know what I'm saying? For that super cheap price. Not every player you're gonna get in like a Vicario at super cut price. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to pay what the market is asking for, and you have to do it early. And if you don't, guess what happens? You get stung. And now we don't have a left back. We don't have a backup keeper when we could have. I showed our backup keeper, not a backup keeper, a keeper that adds competition in Garcia last week. Do you know what I mean? I was meant to show a few players, but I've gone way over time, so I can't do that. But next week I will be showing a left back we could get, who I think is cooking, and a centre back, a left back / centre back that could rival both Udogie and Van der Ven in that position. Do you know what I'm saying? I've already spoke about Geertruida, like I said at the start of the show, where he could do a job at the right back, who played underneath Arnie Slot, who can play right back, DM, centre back, and left back. Those are the type of versatile players that could cover many positions. And he's 24. And he's won a cup. He's won a cup, a trophy under Slot in the same league when Ten Hag was around. He won their championship, basically, their version of Premier League. And he won the cup double. Do you know what I'm saying? So, and he starts in for the Netherlands. Anyway, I digress. There's certain players we can get in that can solve so many issues that I was talking about: the defensive midfielder role, the centre back role, the right back role, the left back role. Do you know what I'm saying? And then even up top, even a DM, I've got 4 players that I could throw off right now and tell you who could come in and could help our ball progression. But this club is moving different, I'll say, and they're looking at younger profiles and they're trying to keep that wage bracket down. We are linked with a guy called Tillman, who plays for PSV, I think. Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna end it on that. Let's hope, and this is real hopium, that we could do a thing against not Brighton,
Or Bournemouth.
Bournemouth.
I hope
And
so.
listen, if we don't win against Bournemouth, hey, Marlon, you need to come back and host the show, bro. You know what I'm saying?
No,
And it might be an emergency one Thursday night. You get me? It might be an early one. You know what I'm saying? You might
We
not wake up
don't
Tuesday.
beat Brighton.
I'm just saying. Listen. We have to have serious conversations. You know
If
what
we
I'm saying?
don't beat Brighton,
Bournemouth,
you need
Bournemouth.
to get, what are they called again? We are Tottenham
Jason
TV.
Bourne. If we don't get
Spurs
Jason Bourne,
Diehards, Tottenham away. We all need to get in one room
yeah,
and we need
100%.
to make a decision.
100%.
And by the way, Deji, it's about time you're on that show. By the way, we are Tottenham TV because it's long overdue. Long overdue, by the way.
I had them on
Yeah.
the pump up. I've had them on the pump up.
Oh, he's on the pump up.
I had them
Okay,
that
that's
once. I
good.
had them on the pump up
Yeah,
once.
had it
But
So
once.
I don't watch that show, but
Yeah.
but even though I like you guys, I do like you guys, and I do actually like you, Deji. By the way, it's all fun and games,
We're
and I
family.
love your mate Zeus. By the way, I do love your mate Zeus.
Yeah, we're
I
gonna
know
get
it's a
everyone
shame
back, man. It's a shame Zeus had to drop out.
because
Jay
I
Cole had
love
to
your
drop
mate
out.
Zeus.
Jay
Yeah,
had
he
to
might
drop
not like
out.
Mr. Box Office, but I have been watching. You know what I mean? I do appreciate.
Nah, he's got
You
all
know what I
love.
mean?
He's all love. He's got all love. Trust me.
Hey,
Yeah.
Uncle Boxer, that's what I call him, Uncle Boxer.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
don't mess
no,
around, you know.
but when people turn up, I appreciate. I can't lie, bruv. You know what I mean? If you turn up, I have to appreciate. You know what I mean? And he turns up on Sava's, and it's not, and he's great, Sava, and he's a hard man to take on, and he done it well. You know what I mean?
Big up my guy. Big up my guy. Zeus. I didn't even know. So that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
we got Zeus back.
Yeah.
We're gonna get
Don't
some.
get used to it though. Don't get used to this praise from Mr. Box Office though. Don't get used to it. You know what I mean?
Hey, any final words, did you, before we wrap up, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think you talked about it. I think the next 2 weeks are so crucial, man. I'm hopeful
Man
that
United.
we can do. Yeah, I mean
If we
these
don't do Man U, oh my days.
I don't want to sound like over dramatic because people call me a bit dramatic sometimes, but I really do think these next 5 games will shape the direction of our season and our 2025. If we can come out of this next 2 weeks positive, and I don't know what that means yet, I really do think there will be a lot of hope and we kick on. If we come out of the Carabao and we get lamped by Liverpool and Chelsea.
I called 6 points. Remember, I called 6 points in the next 4 games.
It would be sad, man.
I called 6 points in the next 4 games, but if we get 9 points, my hands, I'm like that because I'm not expecting that. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think the
called 6
fixture
points.
lists are going to kill
But
it.
you know,
It's gonna kill
legitimately, we could have 3 or less.
I think the fixture list is going to kill us right now, and I'm telling you this right now because I look at the fixture list in December and January. Yeah, and I'm not even joking. Yeah, because we're doing Europe in January.
Well, how
right?
many games?
With the FA Cup.
I'm scared, man.
If we get through the Carabao Cup, 2 legs, right? And we're complaining about the squad.
Yeah.
And by the way, your man Hook, Deji,
Yeah.
I bet right now they are betting on him to do well now. Do well when he comes in. I think they're betting on him to do well when he comes in January.
I man them. 12 straight games every 3 days till the 6th of Jan.
Yeah.
For many clubs, including us.
Well, not many clubs, just mostly people in Europe.
Yeah.
And that's us.
Yeah.
And we're complaining about games right now. It's going to get worse in January with the FA Cup. If we get through the FA Cup, right, there's more games. Europe, more games. Yeah? So, and if Carabao Cup, and if we get to the Carabao Cup final and we're still in Europe, we're playing in Europe before the final. Yeah? Before the final.
Hey, listen, I've been doing some reading on the side, about this Jerry Jones character. And like it's looking kind of peak, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie, I'm reading some of the things, I don't know. I'm not too sure, y'all. Double J, Jerry Jones. It's I don't
It's
know.
never you know, like they say, man. It's never you know. You don't
Man
know.
are
You don't
saying
know.
leave you on steroids. I'm reading something. It's a Wikipedia, so I can't really take it too tough. But yeah, I'll quickly read it to you before I wrap it up.
Yeah.
It just says, where's the quote I saw? I've lost it now.
We play every week to the 30th of Jan. Yeah, I can't lie, guys. Maybe I'm tired. I'm worried, man.
Jones is often vilified by fans who remain bitter at his unceremonious firings of longtime Cowboys personnel who were fan favorites. Head coach Tom Landry and general manager, even though Cowboys had done poorly the last few seasons, both Jones became owner. Jones started. He did not give consideration of retaining for even a season. Right, he doesn't even last a season. Wow, that's okay. As he said, he would not have purchased the team unless he could hire Johnson as coach. Jones did not discuss the matter with Landry before announcing this decision. So basically, he doesn't give managers long. From what I'm reading here, that's the criticism of this guy coming in. But anyway, we've spoken enough. Bits the box office. What have you got coming up before we end? Oh, hey, we've got Zeus. Hey, Zeus.
Yo,
Big up Zeus. Big up
are
Zeus.
you guys? Are you guys trying to break the streaming record or something?
No, I'm trying to end it. I'm trying to end it.
Why are you surprised to see us?
I was in shock, man. Like I just checked YouTube. I was like, "What the? This is still streaming." Okay, wait. Before you end it, though,
Yeah.
what
Do you know
was
much about
the-
him? Do you know about this Cherry Jones guy? Do you know much about him?
No, I was trying to research. It doesn't seem like American owners like him at all. Like the American, people in the NFL, they don't like him. He seems to be a bit of a nut, like weird characteristics. I would say, like beefing with coaches, doesn't makes weird purchases. Spends like he's how United brought back Ronaldo and didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It seems like he's that kind of ego. He would do that, right? Just so that City wouldn't have him. It seems like he's that type. So gift and a curse type of situation. Yeah.
Mad.
Might buy like Soldado for those type of players for like 80 mil. So and it seems like he thinks he knows it all. He doesn't listen to like the guys who actually are in the game. It seems
Sounds like
like
Levy. Sounds like Levy.
Yo,
Levy thinks he knows.
actually, I have a deep. Okay, you guys might have covered this, but in terms of Levy, like before, you guys are in the UK. Was he good for the club? In the sense that Spurs were not great before. I don't know before, like
businessman, top business.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
See you later, Deji.
All right,
Take care, bro. Take care, bro.
Good night, man. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
But just in terms of the club, has he?
So,
is he good? Has he done good?
Go on, you go first.
For me, it was after Pochettino because Martin Yole was the first strike, right? However, that was the second strike, and then Pochettino, and then bringing in Mourinho. I knew straight away. Sorry, this ain't working, and it was the reasons of like bringing him in for Champions League when I knew it was not going to work, and that was when I was just like, sorry, mate, you're done, you're out of here, you're done for me. That was it. That was it for me.
So for you, he's been here too long. He's had too many strikes.
Yeah.
I you know what it is for me? Like my stance on Levy is like for any business, do you know what I'm saying? You have like peaks and troughs. You have like the beginning stage or the introduction, the infantry stage. Then you go through like the growth stage. Then you got the maturity stage, and then obviously you tail off after that. And I feel like it's just time to have a new owner, new ideas, new investment. My biggest gripe with him was the wages thing. Like I mentioned it earlier before you were here.
Yeah.
And the wages go back. I remember being a younger, and we were linked to a guy called Damien Duff, right?
Yeah.
Damien Duff used to play
Chelsea.
Before Chelsea got him. He was at Blackburn, and he went from Blackburn. I think he went Blackburn to Chelsea, and then I think he went to Newcastle. But basically, we could have got him. Yeah, we could have got Damien Duff, but the reason why we didn't get Damien Duff was because of the wages. We didn't want to spend the money on the wages. Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, that was the first time I was like, as a young fan, I was like, oh, if only we had Damien Duff. I thought that
Yeah.
would have been taking us to the next level. Do you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I that kept happening to me. Like every time we got close to, and like on my show, it's the first show I haven't done a look at a player, but because so much has happened, I haven't had time. But normally I will look at a player and I'm like, this is a guy we could get in and da. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the land I like to live in. But anyway, back then I used to look at players. I remember I used to look at I can't remember the top of my head, but I used to look at loads of players back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh, if we can get this player, he might move us from 8th or 11th, because them times we were finishing 11th and then places there to this position. Do you know what I mean? And then when we got Harry Redknapp and we finally started like moving up the table, we had Martin Yolsway. He was the first one to move us up. Oh, if we got this player, then we would. Where it's always that kind of fine margin where like, come on, can we? And then it's pulled away. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I felt about this owner. He never gets us to that kind of promised land. It's always like the nearly man. And I think that's how I feel about this club, where the nearly team, well, like the bridesmaid underneath this kind of owner, because I don't know if he wants it that bad in terms of winning. Do you know what I'm trying to say? In terms of being an actual go-getter, like we're the team that wants to, like this whole NFL move sounds like him. Do you know what I'm saying? Because even the change rooms are designed to hold like this amount of players, like an NFL team. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The way he's designed the stadium, he's thought about all the money, like the fact that we've got a pitch underneath a pitch. We've actually got a go-karting vicinity, like in and around the stadium. Like this man is thinking like money. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, I want to, like Abramovich apparently went past Tottenham, wanted to buy it. Levy was like, nah, I'm not having it. And so then Abramovich kept flying, and he was just about to go back to Russia. And we had to go past Chelsea. He had to go past like that way. He was going past Battersea in Chelsea as he was going past North London, coming into South London, Southwest London. And he's like, oh, what's that? There's a stadium there. What's that?
Well,
Wow. After he got turned down from Tottenham, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's things like that. Yeah, bro. It's things like that kind of like, oh, we're so close. We're like nearly men.
Yeah.
And I just, I feel like he's had his time, and he's done what he can to move the club forward. I'll give him credit.
So that's what I like. So before it was Big Four, and just the idea
that was invented by Sky Sports, if we're being honest.
But still, the fact that phrase existed.
Oh yeah, the Big Four was a thing, like
and now there's a Big Six. That's
Harry Redknapp was the one that kind of got us there, isn't it?
Yeah. That's sign of progress.
And then we got us to the promised land, and then he just wanted to stay amongst it. I don't feel like he ever wanted to win the Premier League. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Some other fans might disagree and say,
you know what, devil's advocate, you could say that even though Poch I thought should have gotten more time, the sacking, trying to bring Jose in, that was his attempt, right? He doesn't think we have the financial resources, so let me try another way with a winning manager.
I think that was like, I don't know, it was so coincidental that the Amazon documentary came at the same time. It felt like Mourinho's profile was...
Wow. That's
I
deep,
don't know,
man.
listen, I don't know. I'm being cynical here. Like, people will be like, Ash, no.
Whoa, that would be
the players, because I'm reading what Danny Rose. I know people don't like, they think he's off the board sometimes, but it wasn't just him. It was other players as well. They didn't know that they were gonna be filmed. Daniel Levy didn't tell them about being filmed. They didn't tell them that they were gonna get rid of Poch. Poch had to write a note on the board. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you watched the documentary.
Yeah.
See him doing that. There was no notice of him doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? It was like boom, boom, boom. Mourinho steps in. Do you know what I mean? The players are like, what? Like there was no like communication. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I feel like it was a perfect timing to bring him in. Do you know what I'm trying to say? As opposed to, we're going to go and push for the league and get it over the line. That's me being cynical.
Well, the perfect time was to sack Poch at the end of the season after the Champions League final, because he wanted to leave. He had enough. That was the problem.
But I don't know. Like I think like to sack Mourinho, if Mourinho was to get us over the line for titles, why sack Mourinho on the cup final?
No,
Losing the cup final?
we should have sat. Pot should have left or got sacked at the end of at the end of that season when we got to the Champions League final,
Oh, that would have
right?
made no sense though.
And getting Mourinho then that was the time to do it.
Why that way make no sense is well, I get what you're saying is because you're saying like, yeah, he wasn't able to get us over the line, so
Well,
then
it's not even that. Poch was like saying he can't do any more for the team. He was saying it all through that Champions League run. He said, I might have to leave because I can't do any more with this. I can't do any more with this. Can't do any more with this. And then you saw the summer what happened. He had enough.
No,
He had
but
enough.
he said
Checked
we
out,
can't
didn't
have
he?
a new house and not have new furniture in. That's
Yeah,
what he
he
said.
checked out. He
So
checked out, didn't he?
that says to me that the owner's not willing to give him the tools he felt to kind of push on and get and build that squad that he wanted. Do you know what I'm saying?
And I gave him a lot of
So,
credit, Pochettino, because he played at Wembley for 2 seasons. Yeah, where it was a lot of trauma there. There was a lot of trauma there because we weren't happy that we were at Wembley for 2 seasons. Because
Wait. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like, what was wrong with Wembley?
well, we had to change stadiums for a bit because the stadium was getting
Built.
rebuilt, wasn't it?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it was not easy because the fans weren't happy at Wembley. They were not happy at Wembley.
Is it like a longer commute or?
Yeah, it was longer commute, but also it wasn't home, wasn't it? The players weren't getting used to it. They at start of it wasn't very good, but Poch somehow galvanized the players. Even though there was one time where we didn't really get any great players, let's be honest here, but because Poch was very good with coaching the players and making them better, which is why I don't rate Ange at the moment, and I think you got an Eddie Howe, a Pep, what I mean? Those sort of players that make players better, you know what I mean? They just take a player and they work with them and make them a better player as a whole, you know what I mean? And that's what Poch was very good at doing. Sissoko and Winks were a great example of that, you know what I mean? Because Sissoko, he did not want him whatsoever. Yeah, this was a Daniel Levy special. Yeah, at the end of the transfer window. Then after Dembele left,
Can I pause you on that one
Yeah.
as well? Just to
Yeah.
add on, sorry.
Yes.
With Sissoko, it was like I think Everton. No, he was at Newcastle, was it? No, where did we get him from, Sissoko? We got him from
Newcastle.
Yeah, we got him from Newcastle, but Newcastle got relegated. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think they did get relegated. Yeah.
So that's what he means by Levy special. If you notice, Zeus, when we got Maddison, we got him when he was relegated. Do you know what I'm trying to say? When we got Richarlison when he was in dire straits, when Everton, again, they're in a financial situation where they were in a stranglehold. So that's when we jumped in. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Do you see the pattern here? Brennan Johnson, we got him when it was like FFP, PSR, they were in trouble. That's when we pounced. Do you know what I'm trying to say? We always pounce on players that are, like, for example, if Wolves were to get relegated, for example, that's when we pounce on Acuna. We're linked to Diblin. If Southampton get relegated, we'll go for Diblin. If Ipswich should get relegated, we'll go for like a Rory Delap. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's just how it goes. It's just like we try to take advantage of other teams' that's what he does. Do you know what I'm saying? And then we do the club signings and like the young players, like, and we get those kind of. That's how the club moves. This is the type of club that we support. If you actually look at the trends and the spending power, so people are like, oh, we do spend money. Yeah, we spent money on Richarlison, who's 60 million. But again, it's because Everton were in trouble and Levy actually got involved in the actual deal. It's not like Levy doesn't get involved in football matters. And I think that was my other problem. He actually gets involved in the actual transfers. Where I give him, like, I don't know. I feel different about Porro because he got involved in the Porro deal and all the fans were screaming for Porro, Porro. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Now, people would say, Levy had to get the deal done. He was the one that came on the white horse and he pulled that deal out. Before that happened, right, he said the reason why he's bringing in Paratici is so he can move away from the football side of things. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What Levy does, and this is what really irked me, this is the really reason why I was frustrated at Levy. He does this thing where he drags out the transfer for the whole of the window, broski.
Yeah.
The whole of the window. There's other targets that go missing. Boom, bam, bim, bam. That we could go and get. But then we just focus on the one brother, the one player, drags it out. And the reason why he drags it out is he's trying to put that, it's his negotiating style, isn't it? He's trying to put pressure on that club to reduce that fee as low as possible. Do you know what I mean? Some clubs have it, some clubs don't. You know what I'm saying? We still ended up spending about 40 mil for Porro. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think it was a PR move to make him look good, to say, yeah, I had to fly down to Portugal and then I negotiate the deal. And the reason why we will get him on loan with obligation to buy, I think, was it obligation or
Yeah, it was a loan to obligation to buy. Yeah.
Yeah. And basically, he had to do the cup final or whatever before he came over, but he flew over to Portugal personally. So everyone, he looked like the guy that did it. Like everyone's like, yeah, Levy, he's the one that. But that's his style. From the day I've been supporting Spurs, like from the time he's come in, that's always been. He's always dragged out deals. Always, do you know what I mean? To trying to get that last dripper. And some people will praise that and say, no, that's good negotiating skills, but not at a detriment where you're missing out on other key targets or players that could have been like could have helped us in our progress. Watch this January and just let me know if you see a pattern. If we drag out players. There was one season which floored me, and I was like, wow, we've changed. And that was with Conte when we got those players in fairly early.
Like who, Perisic and them guys?
Perisic and them guys. I was like, wow, well, we're actually getting them in early. Oh, maybe. And even when Scott Munn came in, I thought, oh, actually, maybe Levy's moving away because he's got another man involved and he's not. But then I'm hearing like he's involved in this deal and that, like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Even though he's like, no, I'm not involved in the deals anymore. Then all of a sudden, I'm hearing murmurs like, he was the one that brought Jed Spence in.
Wait, question.
He was the one that brought Madison in. He was the one that wanted. Remember, Madison was offered to Conte. Conte didn't want Madison. And then he offered Madison to Ange. And Ange said, yeah, I'll have him. Do you know what I'm saying? So again, is it an Ange signing? Is Madison an Ange signing? Or is it really a Levy signing? You see what I'm trying to say? And this is why I'll talk about club signings. Because whether you like it or not, Ange could be here today, gone to tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? And that's why you've got Lange in here. And go on, what are you going to say? I just want to finish the show.
I was going to say, who brought in Klinsmann?
Was
that was Alan Sugar or something like
that. Sugar flew out to Monaco. Actually, got a boat out to Monaco, and I think with Sugar, he had a friend. He was on the phone to one of his one guy he knew. A friend of a friend knew him in it, and was able to get Klinsmann's number. That's when I started watching Spurs, like Klinsmann days, innit? And he was the one that was like, "Yo, Klinsmann, I want you to come to Tottenham." He hadn't really heard of us. He had no, and normally people don't speak to Klinsmann because when he's on holiday, like he doesn't want to be disturbed, innit? But Alan Sugar somehow managed to get his number. He spoke to him. He liked the way he spoke. He liked his jip. And then that's when Klinsmann came. And then apparently Klinsmann said, obviously he left to go Bayern Munich, innit? But he said that was a mistake because he actually enjoyed playing for Spurs. And he said he got so much love that like he said he should have stayed. He said the stint was too small. He should have stayed for Spurs for a bit longer. Do you know what I mean?
Look at the quality he was compared to what we've got now. Teddy Sheringham. I would take Leds Ferdinand to our strike force at the moment. I even take Stefan Everson. That says a lot. And that was a relegation. That was a fighting relegation team. Come on now, Ash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. We had strikers in abundance. Defoe. Yeah, my guy. Yeah. Arrogance and swag. All in abundance, bruv, yeah? Sus, you should know that, bruv, because you hang out with a lot of them, don't you? Arrogance and swag. I know you look like that type of guy, bruv. You know what I mean? Yeah? You know what I mean? I know you know, Ash. You know what I mean? Because you're a cool guy. You know what I mean? Sorry, Ash.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, we could go a bit deeper, but I want to end the show, man. Because obviously,
wait! Before you end the show, what was the takeaway of the video analysis that you were showing?
Listen back on Spotify.
Oh yeah, true. So
man. It's all there. It's all there, man. It's all there. There's work to be done. It's not an easy fix. I'll just say that there's gonna have to. I think when Solanke and Kulusevski come back, they will help with our ball progression a lot. We don't have players that can progress the ball. We've got issues with Basuma and Sarr in terms of trying to break lines, carry the ball. You know, Basuma's no longer breaking lines through his dribbling, so that's an issue at the moment. Sarr, ball carrying is up and down, and his passing needs to be better. His gaming, his IQ, his football IQ in game has to be a lot sharper. He does some things well where he just presses well. Basuma again does defend well off the ball. He's quite aggressive and more physical. But again, when it comes to Spurs getting up the pitch, that's been a real issue. And I think that's why we didn't have a lot of possession against Fulham and we didn't pin them in like we normally do. We weren't on the front foot. We weren't, normally fans complain about the horseshoe football. We didn't do that because we didn't have enough possession of the ball. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But with Solanke coming back, with Kulusevski coming back into the frame, the hope is that we will hang on to the ball a bit longer. But that's it, man. That's my summary. But guys, I'm going to end the stream there, man. Please make sure you subscribe to Mr. Box Office TV. Please make sure you subscribe to Deji as well, Deji Spurs. Obviously, he's a part of Spurs Kings TV as well. But please make sure you look out for who else is on the show. All the other cronies that were on there. Big them up.
Orion, Jay, your coach Dave.
Coach Dave, NSO as well, bro. Yeah, big up NSO.
Zeus, good to have you on the show. And yeah, I don't need any credit, Ash. A big up to Spurs. Big up to you, Ash, by the way, for hosting the show, and Deji and Jay. I think that was it.
And also the comments as well. Big up the people in the comments. People in the show earlier.
Big up Eugene in the comments as well, even though he criticises me. Big up to him for turning up every single time and supporting.
Now I need to get Eugene. I keep forgetting. I need to get Eugene on as well at some point. But yeah, big everyone up. And again, tomorrow we have the rivals where we go at it again. It should be interesting.
Big up Toon for hosting last week. He was very good.
Yeah,
very
good. Up Toon again. Big up Toon. He'll be there again as well, man. But yeah, love, peace. Come on, you Spurs, man. And Ange, man. Come on, man. Ange, you got to get it together, bro. Come on.